Miss Lester, this microphone is on an international hookup. Throughout the world, your fans are hoping you'll say a few words to them. Will you, please?
Of course. Hello, everybody.
Hey there, I'm Mike Gillette, your host, and this is When Radio Ruled, episode number 29, 1937, part 2. In part 1, we focused on politics and economics. In this episode, we'll look at the popular culture and social trends that defined 1937. The film, music, and especially the radio that kept America entertained and informed in the year 1937.
Now Gracie will sing I Love You from Coast to Coast. Sing it, Gracie.
I love you has been said in so many ways, it's hard to find something new. Still I tried and I managed to coin all praise in praise of you. It's my ambition to audition for a swell radio post, just to tell you I love you from coast to coast. It's not the money in it, honey, that I keep thinking of most. It's the chance to romance you from coast to coast. Sometimes I start to pour out my heart in writing, but through a mic the words sound more exciting. So if I get work on the network, honey, I'll sing you a toast when I broadcast I love you. I don't mean high fifth, I don't mean Armstrong, I don't mean Henry, I mean some coast to coast.
Part 1 was all about the economics and politics of 1937. This episode is about 1937's popular culture. But some news stories occupy the gray area between economics and culture. One of these issues is the labor movement. On one hand, it's an economic issue. Labor is a commodity essential to any functioning economy. And industry makes more profits if workers work cheap. On the other hand, these are flesh and blood human beings. And this is about human dignity. The golden rule. How we treat workers is how we treat our fellow citizens. Folks just like us. Higher wages mean happy, healthy citizens.
In this nation, I see tens of millions of its citizens, a substantial part of its whole population, who at this very moment are denied the greater part of what the very lowest standards of today call the necessities of life. I see 1/3 of a nation ill-housed, ill-clad, ill-nourished. The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little.
Historically, American government had been on the side of the industrialists and united with them to put down strikes and labor unrest. One of the things that came from Roosevelt's election was a different attitude from the federal government towards organized labor.
When 4 years ago we met to inaugurate a president, the Republic, single-minded in anxiety, stood in spirit here. We dedicated ourselves to the fulfillment of a vision, to speed the time when there would be for all the people that security and peace essential to the pursuit of happiness. We of the Republic pledged ourselves to drive from the temple of our ancient faith those who had profaned it, to end by action, tireless and unafraid, the stagnation and despair of that day. We did those first things first. But our present gains were won under the pressure of more than ordinary circumstance. Advance became imperative under the goad of fear and suffering. The very times we're on the side of progress. To hold to progress today is more difficult. So let us ask again, have we reached the goal of our vision of that 4th day of March, 1933? Have we found our happy valley?
The Roosevelt administration saw a strong labor movement as a natural counterbalance to the greed and avarice of those that owned the factories and industry. It was important to the president that workers made a decent wage. If labor could get it for themselves, all the better. Up until now, labor strikes had been treated as unlawful and forcibly put down. Roosevelt signed the Wagner Act in 1935, legalizing strikes and setting the stage for the most consequential strike in the history of America, the Flint, Michigan sit-down strike. General Motors and their Chevrolet plants in Michigan employed thousands and thousands of workers, and with very few exceptions treated their workers as disposable objects, rather than as human beings, whose efforts maintained production and profitability. These plants, the Flint plant in particular, were responsible for keeping General Motors cars flowing to the public and profit flowing to General Motors. GM workers throughout Michigan were driven by dangerous working conditions to begin to organize, trying to get GM to recognize the United Auto Workers Union as their representative in all things labor. GM liked the way things were and fired a couple of workers for being union organizers. This led to a general strike among the Michigan General Motors workforce, particularly the employees at the Flint, Michigan plant. But union organizers found out GM was going to punish the Flint workers by shutting down their plant and leaving town. The plan was to swoop into Flint in the dead of night with a fleet of large trucks to fetch the very specialized machines at the plant. These machines were essential to ongoing GM production, and the workers knew it. The strikers decided, instead of picketing, to occupy the Flint GM plant, which was built like a fortress, and defend the machinery against police and General Motors' own strikebreakers. They hunkered down for the first major sit-down strike in America. They were inside the factory for months, where they organized their own government, had their own economy, and fought off multiple assaults from the powers that be.
Oh, I flew to the ball game with Ma and Pa. Ma's never been to one before, and when the pitcher threw the ball, the umpire yelled strike. He threw another ball, and again the umpire yelled strike. The third time he yelled strike, Ma hollers, "Will somebody throw that agitator out? Them fellas know if they want to work or not."
Flies? Oh, flies is pretty mean. How's bees? What? Oh, house flies. I thought you said house flies. What? Fly paper? 3 cents a sheet today. Sure, it's cheap, but we had a sit-down strike, and this is some we got stuck with. You betcha, we'll send it right out.
The strike started in December 1936, and when it ended on February 11, 1937, GM had finally officially recognized the United Auto Workers as representing their employees. This was the first successful sit-down strike in America, and this success inspired countless other labor actions, big and small, as union membership grew and won victory after victory.
Listen, Eddie, don't let him intimidate you. Why don't you go up to him and knock him down? Go ahead.
Jimmy, I can't strike a man while he's standing.
No?
No, I'm a sit-down striker.
Stop gabbing.
Yeah? Here is a little Easter gift. A brand new song, hot off the press. Mr. Renard, wave your chubby arm at the boys of Local 47. Go ahead. What do the morning papers say? Another sit-down strike today. What if the strikers are right? What if the strikers are wrong? You refuse to marry me, and so I'm joining the throng. I'm on a sit-down strike of my own. I'm gonna keep on sitting till the cows come home. I offer you a romance, but you don't give me a chance. So here I'll sit till I wear out the seat of my pants. You'll have to join a union with me. The terms I'm not unfair, you must agree. Others may demand a lot, but heavens above, I just want you in my arms, a labor of love. I'll sit right here till I win. You've simply got to give in. I'm on a sit-down strike for love. I'm on a sit-down strike of my own. I'm gonna keep on sitting till the cows come home. All my demands I won't drop. I'll stick around till you flop. And when it comes to lovin', I must have a close shop. To hug and kiss my dear is sublime. For such a job I don't want overtime. Some want shorter hours and a raise in their pay. Just raise me 50 kisses and I'll work night and day. And when we sit cheek to cheek, who wants a 40-hour week? I'm on a sit-down strike for love.
Inventions of 1937. The country is aviation mad. Fascination with flight and pilots.
Well, you had a nice trip out here by plane. Some people never have the opportunity of flying across the country. Wasn't it beautiful when you came up over the mountains? When you came up over the...
Oh, I came up.
Oh, you came up. Well, at least you are here, and we have a splendid show. Nelson Eddy, did you hear him? He's really incomparable.
1937 presented technological advances in almost every aspect of day-to-day life. Sometimes it felt like we were living in a science fiction world.
I used that idea back in 1899 when I first started building cars down in Hagerstown. I invented the old one-cylinder Hemingway.
The Hemingway?
Yep. I called it the Hemingway because I used a sewing machine for an engine. Chuck, you should have seen me spooling along the Boston Post Road. Honk, Honk McGee, I was made as.
Oh, my.
Honk, Honk McGee, the heady, happy handler of horseless hacks, whooping hilariously over high hills, hummocky highways, and heartily hated by hundreds of hicks for hitting hens, hogs, and haystacks from Hagerstown to Harrisburg.
The first mass-produced automobiles didn't appear in America until 1901, and those were rare until Henry Ford created the first moving assembly line and started cranking out Model Ts in 1913. The Wright brothers first flew in 1903, but the airplane, as we know it, really started serious development a decade later because of World War I. Therefore, in 1937, anyone 35 years or older had lived in a world before wings and internal combustion wheels. These inventions changed everything right before our eyes. These inventions captured the national imagination, the freedom of mobility and restless adventure, labor-saving, pleasure-giving, fast-moving machines.
Did you ever watch a Skyliner take off? Thousands of people visit the airports just to see these giant ships roar across the field and rise into the air. Competent man, the pilot at the controls, isn't he? Yes, but you don't see the scores of men who checked that Skyliner, circled around it with watchful eyes, turned it over to the pilot in perfect shape. The ground crew gave that Skyliner circle service. Thousands of Texaco dealers from coast to coast are the ground crew for your car. Or when you stop for Fire Chief gasoline, they circle service your car for safer, more economical driving.
Some inventor was bound to combine airplane and auto into a flying car. That inventor turned out to be Waldo Waterman, and 1937 was the first time Waldo Waterman's aeromobile took to the skies. There had been previous attempts to combine road and sky, but those inventors had all taken the approach of altering a small plane so the wings could fold up and the plane taxi down the road for short distances. These all used airplane engines, had airplane tails, and on the ground could not be driven the speeds and distances a real car could drive. Waldo Waterman used a standard Studebaker automobile engine, substituted a rear propeller for the tail, and attached wings with large flaps for controlled flight. With the wings off, the aeromobile was a road trip-worthy two-seater. But for most folks, cars were cars and planes were planes. Most American families had cars. The novelty had worn off. But airplanes? They were still considered cutting-edge, adventurous, romantic. The idea of passenger flight was an impossible reality.
Dinner on one coast, breakfast on the other. TWA, the Lindbergh line, now links San Francisco as well as Los Angeles to Chicago and New York with its great new fleet of Sky Sleepers and Sky Clubs, which are, in a manner of speaking, flying hotels. These mighty transcontinental transports are powered by two engines of 1,220 horsepower each, and they fly America's fastest transcontinental airline schedules, the shortest and fastest route from coast to coast. For the important job of fueling and lubricating the engines of these, the largest, most powerful land planes in America, TWA has chosen Texaco. We are proud of this fact because it is another proof of Texaco's dependable quality. In return, we pledge to TWA continuation of the same matchless quality and efficient service which we have given them for the past 5 years.
The country was obsessed with aviation. The most famous pilots, the one who set the records and did the impossible, were true celebrities. Charles Lindbergh, Howard Hughes, and Amelia Earhart were heroes, household names and worldwide celebrities. It seemed like they were setting new records all the time. 1937 started with a brand new record. On January 19, Howard Hughes had set the transcontinental record, Los Angeles to New York City, in 7 hours, 28 minutes, 25 seconds. Breaking a record he had set a year earlier, averaging a mind-boggling 332 miles an hour.
KNX, Los Angeles, the voice of Hollywood.
In a few moments, we'll resume Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, starring Gary Cooper in the title role and Jean Arthur as the reporter. We hear now from another lady of the press, Fay Gillis. Miss Gillis fell rather than rose to fame. One of the best-known ladybirds in America, she became the first woman member of the Caterpillar Club, whose ranks are composed solely of those who have saved their lives by parachute jumps from aeroplanes. When Wiley Post made his record-breaking flight around the world, it was Miss Gillis who met him in Siberia with food and fuel, the place occupied by Will Rogers, and his tragic flight with Wiley Post was relinquished to Mr. Rogers at the last moment by Miss Gillis. She is now in Hollywood, reporting for the New York Herald Tribune, and expects to leave shortly for the Orient. Ladies and gentlemen, Fay Gillis.
Thank you, Mr. DeMille.
Becoming a member of the Caterpillar Club, Miss Gillis, must have been a very exalting experience.
On the contrary, it was decidedly a come-down. I still think flying is the safest means of transportation and use commercial planes whenever I can. But I've had to give up private flying temporarily because it's too much of a luxury.
Oh. Which do you consider the most important syllable of luxury?
Lux, of course. And I'll never give that up. In fact, I carry it with me wherever I go, though it's hardly necessary anymore, for I find it everywhere, from Vladivostok to Pamanoke, Java. By the way, here's another use for Lux Flakes, washing leopards. I've had my pet leopard Snooks ever since she was a little bundle of fur caught in the African jungle, and she's with me now in Hollywood. Snooks has the most beautiful coat you ever saw. There's a reason. Since babyhood, she's had a bath twice a month with Lux Flakes and loves it.
Trying to put Lux on the spot, huh? Faye, you must find Hollywood rather dull after reporting wars, coronations, and other exciting events.
Why, no. When my feet start itching, I can take a trip around the world by touring the studios. I can visit Tibet on the Columbia lot, where Harry Cohen has erected spectacular Shangri-La for Lost Horizon, the magnificent new film directed by Frank Capra, who also directed the screen version of tonight's play, Mr. Deeds. I can visit Naples on the set of Dodsworth, India and Afghanistan and Shirley Temple's new film, Wee Willie Winkie, Berlin in The Road Back, Westminster Abbey in The Prince and the Pauper, Dublin in The Flower and the Stars, and China in The Good Earth. And now, thanks very much, Mr. DeMille. I'll be seeing you at Paramount before long, slinking through the bayous of Louisiana with Lafitte, the buccaneer.
Good night, Globetrotter.
Flight was still a novelty and remained an adventure that captured the American imagination, but it was still something only the government and the rich could afford to do, and was still only a fascinating dream for the regular folks.
Why, if everyone at the wheel of a car knew as much about driving a car as a transport pilot knows about flying a ship, it would be safer to be in a car than in a plane, which it isn't. Do you realize you can have scrambled eggs a mile high on the mainliner? Do you realize that Dick Garland's wife flew from Los Angeles to Seattle with us in lounging pajamas? And that Adela Rogers St. John flew across the continent in an evening gown? Do you realize that the berths on our sleepers are as big as a twin bed? Do you realize we flew a 3-day-old baby across the continent from New York to San Francisco? Do you realize that we have bridge tables, chess and checker games, binoculars, typewriters, and bedroom slippers on board? Why, do you
Just a minute.
realize...
Whoa, let's go back a bit. Do you realize, Miss Stansbury, that you have stated that planes are safer than cars? Is that a fact, actually? Can you prove it?
I can't, no. But just ask your insurance agent about it. It's absolutely a fact that one of the leading American insurance companies considers an individual flying in a scheduled transport plane an A risk, whereas that same person making that same trip by automobile is a B risk. In other words, competent authorities believe you're safer in the air in a transport plane than you are in your own car in Sunday traffic.
Stereotype-busting, trail-breaking Amelia Earhart was a living American folk hero and an inspiration to American women. Earhart held several aviation records and firsts. In 1922, Amelia was the first woman to fly above 14,000 feet. Amelia Earhart set the altitude record for auto gyros. She'd been the first person to fly solo across the Pacific, and the first person to fly Mexico City to Newark, New Jersey. In 1932, Earhart was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic, a feat only one other pilot, Charles Lindbergh, had accomplished. Amelia was the first woman to fly solo non-stop across the United States, and the first person to fly solo from Hawaii to the U.S. mainland in 1935. Congress awarded her the Distinguished Flying Cross, another first for a woman. So in 1937, when Amelia set out to be the first woman to fly around the world, everybody expected to celebrate another Amelia Earhart victory. She was the best of the best. Everybody admired her and no one doubted her.
One of the great news stories of the week, and one of the great enterprises of the age, is the round-the-world flight of Amelia Earhart. Tonight, Miss Earhart is in Java. And next Monday night, if she continues her flight on scheduled time, she will be here as our special guest in the Lux Radio Theater. to tell you in person for the first time since her return something of her adventures on the trip. However, if Miss Earhart is delayed en route, she has graciously consented to keep her date with us here on July 5th. Our sponsors, the makers of Lux Toilet Soap, join me in inviting you to be with us again next Monday night when the Lux Radio Theater presents Walter Winchell and Joan Bennett in The Front Page with James Gleason. And if possible, as special guest, Miss Amelia Earhart. This is Cecile B. DeMille saying good night to you from Hollywood.
Your announcer has been Melville Ruick. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
On June 29, Amelia Earhart landed in New Guinea, having completed 22,000 out of 29,000 miles, 3/4 of the way home.
Tonight's stars are Walter Winchell, Josephine Hutchinson, and James Gleason. We had hoped at this time to bring you Miss Amelia Earhart. However, she has not yet completed her sensational round-the-world flight, so will be heard instead next Monday evening from the Lux Radio Theater, if she will have arrived by that time.
Earhart took off again on July 2nd for the last leg of her historic flight.
When the Lux Radio Theater offers Beau Brummel, starring Robert Montgomery with Madge Evans, Leo G. Carroll, Bramwell Fletcher, and Jean and Kathleen Lockhart. As guest of honor, if she arrives in time, Miss Amelia Earhart will give us the highlights of her amazing flight around the world, which she is now completing.
Sporadic radio contact, then nothing. The largest search and rescue mission in history began. Navy and Coast Guard vessels methodically scouring the Pacific. Confidence was high that Amelia would be found.
I mean inviting you to be with us again next Monday night when the Lux Radio Theater presents Robert Montgomery in Beau Brummel with Madge Evans and an all-star Hollywood cast. Our prospective guest, Amelia Earhart. This is Cecile B. DeMille saying good night to you from Hollywood.
On July 19, they called off the search for Amelia Earhart. She was never found.
Somewhere in a distant corner of the South Pacific is Miss Amelia Earhart, who had planned at this moment to be on the stage of the Lux Radio Theater. I know everyone hearing me now joins in our hope that the rescuers of Miss Earhart and her navigator, Fred Noonan, will reach them swiftly and find them safe. I've just spoken with George Palmer Putman, husband of Miss Earhart in Oakland. Considerably more encouraged than he was yesterday, Mr. Putnam says that after a careful check of all reports, he believes the flyers are on land. He adds that they have adequate supplies, which should last Miss Earhart and Captain Noonan until the arrival of rescue ships or planes. At the end of this hour, we have an important announcement for you. But now, on with the play, as the Lux Radio Theater presents Robert Montgomery and Madge Evans in Beau Brummel with an all-star Hollywood cast.
Despite the tragic loss of Amelia Earhart, airplanes continued to hold sway over the public. Another form of flying machine wasn't as lucky. All it took was a single accident to destroy its future as a form of passenger transportation. Up until 1937, the Zeppelin lighter-than-air ship had been a popular form of transportation for both Europeans and Americans. Zeppelins could hold more passengers than airplanes, 90 or 100, and they were comparable to cruise ships in their passenger comfort. Gourmet meals, live music and dancing in the fully stocked bar, luxurious passenger cabins, each with their own bathroom. Airplanes were faster. Zeppelins topped out at about 80 miles per hour, but airplane rides would rattle your kidneys if the weather was anything but perfectly still, and the longer flights had to limit the number of passengers to keep from running out of fuel. The China Clipper that flew over the Pacific could only carry 8 passengers on the longest leg of the flight to China. The market share of each type of passenger flight was about even. American airplanes had the routes over the Pacific sewed up, but European Zeppelins dominated the Atlantic, with flights all over Europe as well as to and from South America, New York, and Chicago. Until one fateful day, May 6, 1937, when the future of commercial Zeppelin flight went up in flames.
Our field that we thought active when we first arrived has turned into a moving mass of cooperative action. The landing crews have rushed to the posts and spots, and orders are being passed along, and last-minute preparations are being completed for the moment we have waited for so long. The ship is riding majestically toward us like some great feather, riding as though it was mighty proud of the place it's playing in the world's aviation. The ship is no doubt bustling with activity, as we can see. Orders are shouted to the crew. The passengers probably lining the windows looking down at the field ahead of them, getting their glimpse of the mooring mast. And these giant flagships standing here, the American airline flagships, waiting direction to all points in the United States when they get the ship moored. There are a number of important personages on board, and no doubt the new commander, Captain Max Frisch, is thrilled, too, for this is his great moment, the first time he's commanded the Hindenburg, for on previous flights he acted as a chief officer under Captain Lehman. It's practically standing still now. They've dropped ropes out of the nose of the ship and has been taken a hold of down on the field by a number of men. It's starting to rain again. The rain had scratched up a little bit. The back motors of the ship are just holding it just enough to keep it from... It burst into flame. It burst into flame and it's falling. It's crashing. Watch it. Out of the way. Get out of the way. Get this started. It's crashing. It's crashing terrible. Oh, my. Get out of the way, please. It's burning, bursting into flames, and it's falling on the mooring mast and all the folks between it. This is terrible. This is one of the worst catastrophes in the world. Oh, it's flake is 400 or 500 feet into the sky. It's a terrific crash, ladies and gentlemen. The smoke and the flames now, and the frame is crashing to the ground, not quite to the mooring mast. Oh, the humanity and all the passengers screaming around here. I told you, I can't even talk to people. There's spaces on there. I can't talk, ladies and gentlemen. Honest, it's just laying there, a mass of smoking wreckage. And everybody can't hardly breathe and talk and screaming. Lady, I'm sorry. Honestly, I can hardly breathe. I'm going to step inside where I cannot see it. Tony, that's terrible. Listen, folks, I'm going to have to stop for a minute because I've lost my voice. This is the worst thing I've ever witnessed.
Never again would commercial Zeppelin flight have a chance in the marketplace, and airplanes quickly filled all the travel needs of the flying public.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I want to say a few words about a great industry, aviation. During the recent floods, airline companies generously offered their services to the Red Cross and other flood relief agencies. Food, warm clothing, medical supplies, serums, doctors, and nurses were flown into the stricken area. Aviation is a comparatively young industry, yet the businessmen at its head have in a short time developed a network of airlines second to none the world over. Last year, over 1 million passengers were carried over our great national airlines, totaling a distance of almost 400 million passenger miles.
Well, Eddie, that's certainly a fine record, and one in which we, too, can take reasonable pride, because 3/4 of the nation's major airlines use one or more Texaco products. And this preference for Texaco should mean a great deal to every motorist, too.
Other notable inventions of 1937. The first jet engine was built and tested in Germany. The English would be on the wrong end of this technology when the Germans used it in their extremely destructive V-2 rockets. Nylon was patented, employed for women's stockings at first, later for parachutes. July 5, 1937, Hormel introduced a new processed pork product they called spiced ham. It would feed millions of troops under the name of Spam.
Well, here they come, dudes, that dizzy dame Eve Sully and the man she's driven daffy, Jesse Block.
To Miss Eve Sully, this is Professor Benny Goodman.
Hello.
It's a pleasure, I'm sure, Miss Sully. I've met Jesse Block before. How are you, Jesse?
Well, I was okay when I first came here, Benny, but I don't...
Sully, I might add that Professor Goodman is the world's greatest clarinetist.
Oh, he is? What instrument does he play?
He plays the clarinet. He's a virtuoso.
Well, he looks like an American to me.
He is an American. Why don't you step up on the platform and sing a song for the students?
Oh, Swing a song?
That's right.
Oh, no. I won't get on any platform. Why, once my uncle got on the platform, and in 5 minutes he was dead.
Why, what happened?
Somebody sprang the trap. And boy, did he swing.
Well, go ahead, Eve. Sing, swing, anything. Swing, Benny, swing. Swing, Benny, swing. When cold winter comes and we're all out of wood, why should we call up the woodmen?
I'll just tune in Benny Goodman.
That music for today. Swing, Benny, swing.
He'll chase old Mr. Blues away.
The devil is afraid of music with that certain swing. So good we don't want any.
Gosh, you're so grand, Benny.
Stand up and swing, Benny, swing.
The popular music of 1937 was a combination of old and new, and radio reflected that dichotomy. Show tunes, love ballads, novelty songs, and crooning were all still very popular. But even in 1937, these musical stylings could seem old-fashioned and safe.
The other day at the Fox studio, I met Irving Berlin. I told him that today was my birthday, and he said, Eddie, I'd like to come over and pay my respects. And so with great pride, I present my good friend, the greatest writer of popular songs in the world, Irving Berlin.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Eddie. I've known you for a good many years, Eddie, and it's a great honor and a privilege to be able to stand up here and tell your radio audience.
Now, Irving, don't lay it on too thick, you know.
Don't be modest, Eddie. Of course, if you'd rather have me keep quiet.
No. Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Well, I just want to say that it's a great privilege to tell your radio audience tonight that, in my opinion, the greatest, the most enjoyable...
Now, Irving, now.
Most completely satisfying bit of entertainment ever offered the public is the picture On the Avenue, produced by 20th Century Fox, opening February 4th at the Radio City Music Hall.
But, Irving, look, just a minute. Don't you know what day this is?
Yes, I do, Eddie. This is the 31st of January, just 4 days before On the Avenue opens at the Radio City Music Hall. Lyrics and music by
Irving. Well, sure, but Irving, look at my puss. This is my birthday.
Well, I'm sorry, Eddie, I forgot. Congratulations. How old are you?
It's a lie. Look, what's the difference, Irving? A man is as old as it feels. Oh, look,
That's right.
Let's go back to talking about your picture. You know, I did see it at the studio Friday night.
That's fine.
And I think it's swell. Tell me, which one of the 6 songs is your favorite?
Well, that's hard to say, Eddie. It would be just the same as asking you which of your 5 daughters was your favorite.
Well, I have a favorite, the one that spends the least amount of money.
Now I think we've heard enough about the picture, Eddie. Let's talk more about your birthday.
All right.
You see, I didn't know you were celebrating your birthday today, and I brought you a little surprise gift.
At last, a birthday present. But, Irving, you shouldn't have done it. You know, you embarrassed me.
But, Eddie, I insist.
Well, if you insist.
Okay. As a little birthday present, I'll sing a chorus of You're Laughing at Me, which is one of the songs from On the Avenue.
A 20th Century Fox production opening at the radio...
You're laughing at me. I can't be sentimental, for you're laughing at me, I know. I want to be romantic, but I haven't a chance. You've got a sense of humor, and humor is death to romance. You're laughing at me. Why do you think it's funny when I say that I love you so? You've got me worried and I'm all at sea. For while I'm crying for you, you're laughing at me.
You know, I love you. If I were you, I'd just write the songs and let us sing them. I think...
You shouldn't kid me, Eddie. Remember, you and I were both singing waiters once.
That's right. You were a singing waiter in Chinatown, and I was one in Coney Island. I'll never forget, Irving, when I sang Alexander's Ragtime Band for the first time, and you came down to hear me. Golly, I was a kid.
You can think that far back?
Yes. And I'll never forget when you slipped me $50 as a tip, and I gave it to a little baby girl who was in a baby carriage outside the cafe.
That's right. I saw you do it, Eddie. I remember very well. And who'd have thought that little baby would grow up to be Sophie Tucker?
Oh. I knew it was such a good line, I'd have used it myself. Irving, I'm going to turn the other cheek and sing one of the songs from your picture, providing you play the piano for me. Go ahead. Put on your slumming clothes and get your car. Let's go sightseeing where the high-tone people are. Come on, there's lots of fun in store for you. See how the other half lives on Park Avenue. Let's go slumming. Take me slumming. Let's go slumming on Park Avenue. Let us hide behind a pair of fancy glasses and make faces when a member of the classes passes. Let's go smelling where they're dwelling, sniffing everything the way they do. Let us go to it, they do it, why can't we do it too? Let's go slumming, no slumming at Park Avenue. Let's go slumming, take me slumming. Let's go slumming on Park Avenue. Irving, honestly, I'm thrilled with your being here tonight. It gives me a warm feeling to know that two skinny guys who started out from the east side of New York many years ago are playing together tonight before millions of people. Irving, this is truly a land of opportunity. Think. You have written songs which have been played and sung the world over, and
Eddie, the joy you have brought people is no small contribution in itself.
Oh, let's talk a little bit about the things to come. Irving, I can see the not-too-distant future, just as plain. I can see a blaze of glory, a light just as bright as the brightest stars, and they seem to say...
On the avenue now playing Radio City Music Hall.
Take them off, Renard. Take them off. Will you please take them off?
While their parents' musical taste could be less than daring, the music the kids were hep to, the rhythms they danced to, what the cool kids listened to were swing and jazz, big bands swinging loud and fast jazz.
Get a lift with a camel. Cigarettes present Benny Goodman Swing School, the Tuesday night roundup of everybody who wants to get a lift with the new pulsating music of youth, swing. Tonight, the King of Swing presents the world's greatest swing band, the Goodman Instrumental Trio and Quartet, and Meyer Alexander's Swing Chorus. Also, another new student, the celebrated tenor Marek Windheim, leading comedian of the Metropolitan Opera Company. All brought to you by the makers of Camel Cigarettes.
Covering the sports news in this great sports-loving country is a job that must be done in high gear, at top speed. Until the presses actually start, a sports editor is keyed to work under tension. Then there's a letdown, and that's when a lift sure is welcome. Stuart Cameron, crack sports editor of a famous press association, says,
"Man, what a delightful lift in energy I get with a Camel when I'm tired. They help boost my energy over the tough spots. I know a lot of America's great athletes intimately. Lou Gehrig, Lenore Kite Wingard, Bill Tilden, Ralph Guldahl, Buster Crabbe, Gene Sarazen, Carl Hubble. And it's mighty impressive how the champions agree that Camel sure hit the spot."
Sports editor Cameron knows how to pick champions. And he knows his stuff when it comes to cigarettes because he says,
I'd walk a mile for a Camel.
In sports, 1937 was a great year for boxing and horse racing, an incredible year for baseball if you were from New York. The New York Giants and New York Yankees squared off in the World Series for the second consecutive year.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the United States. This is George Hicks, the National Broadcasting Company. This is the World Series of 1937. We're speaking from our box directly behind home plate on the lip of the third tier at Yankee Stadium in New York City. But you fans don't need to have me tell you what this is all about. It's the New York Yankees, world champions of 1936, again tennis winners this year in the American League, versus the New York Giants, National League champions of 1937, and for the World Championship in baseball. And this is the fifth World Series since the beginning in 1905 between the two New York teams. Well, we've been in our chairs here since 11 a.m. this morning, now 1:15. The bleachers, bending in an irregular curve from middle left field around to middle right, were packed solid on our arrival this morning. And the third tier of moderate-priced reserve seats were also packed at that time, except the extreme tips at left and right field, and now they're filling up. The expensive boxes in first layer tier are now filled practically, except for the last moment arrivals. There must easily be 50,000 or a little more here now before game starts, and they're still pouring in. NBC has its baseball experts manning the microphones. Tom Manning, NBC sports announcer from Cleveland, one of the best. Well, he'll describe the first half of the game. Beside him is Brett Barber, star sports announcer from station WLW in Cincinnati. Both, by the way, are red-headed. So remember, when the action gets hot, these two red-headed flashes will be throwing the words at you. And with them is Warren Brown, the friendly and wise ball expert, sports editor of the Chicago Herald-Examiner. He'll give you the expert opinions, the inside facts that only he knows. So much for what's to come. Right now, the Yanks are just trotting in off the diamond. The caretakers are out with their rakes and the chalk lines, the manicuring, which goes on just before the game starts. It's just about 10 minutes now. The photographers are flashing bulbs at the first row box seats where all the celebrities are seated. It's so muggy today, incidentally, that they're using flash bulbs. The Giants are now coming into their dugout. The weather is humid. Whether this is October 6th or not, perspiration is running off our faces, and the bleachers are in shirt sleeves, making that white background. It rained last night here in New York, but now the sky is a pale blue with those low, steamy clouds breaking and floating right over our heads, and the pennants up on top of the horseshoe. But boy, it's thick and it's hot out here. But I'm sure it won't rain. Mayor LaGuardia is here. Oh, Mickey Cochran, the old Mike of Detroit, looking fit again, and the babe, Genial. He was wiping his face a moment ago in a blue serge suit. Sits in a box right down below us beside the Yankee dugout. With him is Mrs. Ruth and his daughter, Jacob Rupert. Genial, handsome, smiling with Mayor LaGuardia. Mr. Rupert stood and shook hands with the babe while the photographers took their pictures. Cheers and excitement. The comments running like fire through the stands have been egging us on since noon when the audience follows DiMaggio, Gehrig, Dickey, Selkirk, Moore, and Ott, all the sluggers as they drop their long drives into either left or right field stand. The Giants today are the visitors. They're in gray with bright azure blue caps, blue shirt sleeves and socks. The Yanks in white with dark blue caps and socks. The crowd got a terrific howl a few moments ago when Gomez put a long punch into the right field stand. At batting practice about 12:30, when the Giants came in, Hubble got a fine hand when he came to bat, but the best he could do was to ground to the infield. The crowd also cheered young Jack McCarthy, first baseman of the Giants, when he put several long drives into right field stand. And they said, well, look at who we got here, as much as to say, well, this boy is right up there with Gehrig and DiMaggio. quarter of a mile away, on the top of the apartment roof, which are jagged in modernistic style, are the apartment roof galleryites, who pay no ticket and who get a very much of a bird's eye view of the entire scene. Hub is now down behind home plate on the Giant side, warming up, taking his time, wipes his head with his shirt sleeve, puts his old left arm across, and there's the ball. Gomez is doing the same thing on the Yankee side. Photographers are squatted around them, and the caretakers are now laying out their chalk marks around home plate and the batter's boxes.
In boxing, Joe Louis became champ by defeating the Cinderella Man, James J. Braddock, on June 22 in 8 rounds.
Braddock drove a left to Lewis's body, and Lewis slipped over a good hard left to Braddock's head, and then a left on the back of Braddock's head. Don't make any mistake, it wasn't far enough back to be out of line. It was right over the ear, I should say under the ear, and there Braddock came up with a right uppercut that missed. Lewis is back out of the way in time. Now Braddock's in the center of the ring, and Lewis gave him, Braddock is down. And the count is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A new world champion. Joe Louis is the new world champion in the 8th round. Braddock went down from a hard right to the jaw. A succession of blows, of left to the body, right to the jaw. And the crowd is in the ring. And I'm going to turn it over to Ed Hill while I go catch Joe Louis.
Clem, get us in that ring. I'll take charge from now on. Over in Joe Lewis's corner, they're having a jollification. The seconds threw their arms around him and hugged him, while Jimmy's seconds gathered around him and lifted him from the floor, wiped the blood from his face, and carried him over to his corner.
The winner and new champion.
Say, Eddie, what's wrong? Look at you. You're covered with dust and your toes are out of your shoes. You're usually so well dressed. What happened?
Well, Jimmy, remember last Sunday I flew to Chicago for the big fight?
Yes, I know. And you flew back?
No, I bet on Braddock and I walked back.
Joe Louis would remain champ for 12 years and successfully defend the title 25 times, both records for all boxing weight divisions.
I'm 6 feet tall and 180 pounds.
Gosh, you're almost big enough to fight Joe Louis.
Almost. I like that. Why, only the other day I had an offer of $25,000 to fight Louis.
Well, what are you holding out for?
Funeral expenses.
The big story in horse racing was Seabiscuit, the too small, bad fundamentals, lazy thoroughbred with the strange hitch in his running motion, ridden by a one-eyed jockey, emerged in 1937 as a hero for the little guy, succeeding against all odds.
Eddie Thomas won't take the start until he's on his toes, until the jockey is ready, and then he'll push that button, the bell will ring, and they'll be on their way. We don't have any starting barriers now, as you know. They go by the... Here they go! And they're on their way down this stretch. The break was good. Every horse got a chance just as they left there. And as they come down here to the 8th pole, it is Time Supply and Special Agent. Special Agent is trying to force his way to the front, and he's going to do a good job of it as they pass the stand. Here on the outside comes Rosemont in a good position. And as they go by me, it is Special Agent on the lead by 1 length. Special Agent has the lead, and then comes Time Supply in second place right along beside him. Going to the first turn is Special Agent by a length. Time Supply is second, and on the outside of him is Accolade. And Buckthorn is close up. Far back in the crowd, on the inside in about 12th place is Red Rain. Up there close is Rosemont in about 6th place. They're going into the stretch. They've gone half a mile. And the time for the first quarter over this track was 22 2/5 seconds. The half in 45 4. They're turning into the back stretch with Special Agent on the lead. Special Agent has a lead now of 1 length and a half. Right behind him comes Time Supply. And in there is... slipping through on the inside is the other one of that entry. Special Agent Indian Broom is going up on the inside now in a good position. Around that far turn, it's still no change in the positions. Rosemont is having a hard time working his way through. He's now in 6th position, going around on the inside. He's saving ground, has got plenty left. If he's enough horse, he may get home. And on the outside, here comes the other one of Indian Broom, and Golden Eye is moving up from the rear. Here comes Accolade in second position, and Seabiscuit is now moving up and is challenging as they turn for home. It's Special Agent and Seabiscuit challenging head and head as they swing into the stretch, and they've only got a quarter of a mile to come. They step the first mile in 1:36 4/5, and that shows you what this pace is. He can't live at it. Seabiscuit has got the lead halfway down the stretch.
Seabiscuit won 11 of his 15 races in 1937, but is perhaps best known for the one he lost that year. In the prestigious Santa Anita Handicap, Seabiscuit was in the lead, and his jockey, Red Pollard, led up on him, expecting to cruise to victory. Because Pollard was blind in one eye, he didn't see Rosemont come up on them and pass. Pollard and Seabiscuit finished second by a nose.
But here comes one of the Baroni entry on the outside, challenging boldly. And the battle is on. Indian Broom is coming fast. And here comes Rosemont between horses. And Rosemont may take it all. It's going to be a photograph finish. And it's anybody's race right to the end. I think Rosemont got the money. And I think Rosemont was first. It was an eyebrow finish. And Seabiscuit was the second horse. Seabiscuit was second in one of the Taylor entry. I think Indian Broom was third. It was very close. That was an eyelash finish. Rosemont was closing strong, but Seabiscuit hung on gamely. The time of the race was 2:02 4/5, which makes the track almost identically like the track of 2 years ago.
One of the most thrilling finishes I think I've ever seen in a horse race in my life, Clem. The crowd down here has gone completely mad. The photographers are outside the Charmed Circle, which is a white circle here where the winner will come up in just a moment. Newsreel photographers are setting up on every hand. The horses are just coming back now, and everybody, depending on who was their favorite, was shouting Rosemont, Seabiscuit. One would call Rosemont, one Seabiscuit. There are half a dozen here who are just as sure that Rosemont won as Seabiscuit. They don't know what to think of it. One of the most beautiful driving finishes I think I've ever seen.
Hey, hold, Pollard. Here's the photograph finish. Hold it.
All right.
Hold it now. We'll be ready for it. Just a few seconds and we'll know the winner of this race.
Got the race coming up.
I think Rosemont won it, but that's only my guess from where I stand. The photograph will tell us the actual winner. The naked eye is not as good as the photograph. We'll have it in a second. They're looking at it down there. I know it was an eyelash finish. Either horse won by a whisker, and that's all. Just about a quarter of an inch. I can't see any more between them. I really shouldn't express an opinion on a finish that close. And they're still waiting. That shows you how what a difficult... There it is. Rosemont is the winner. Rosemont by a nose.
All right, Clem.
Seabiscuit is second.
Clem.
And just a minute, buddy, till I get it. Rosemont is the winner. I want you to get that jockey if you've got him. Seabiscuit is second, and the Taylor entry finished third and fourth. They haven't put up the distinguishing numbers, and they finished very close together.
But Seabiscuit would beat Rosemont regularly on other days on other courses.
As one who was there opening night, if you come to town, don't miss Edwin's Hooray for What? Down with Love from Hooray for What?
Down with love, the flowers and rice and shoes. Down with love, the root of all midnight blues. Down with things that give you that well-known pain. Take that moon and wrap it in cellophane. Down with love, let's liquidate earnest friends. Moon and June and roses and rainbows end. Down with songs that moan about night and day. Down with love, yes, take it away, away. Away, take it away. Give it back to the birds and the bees and the peonies. Down with eyes romantic and stupid. Down with sighs, down with Cupid. Brother, let's stop that down with love.
Arise, you blighted lads and jilted James. Arise, you sighing saps in lovers' lanes. Arise, you guys in Reno's hills and dales.
Arise, you guys in alimony jail. Arise, arise.
Don't forget your trusty swords and custard pies.
We're out to tar and feather love like father love and mother love.
And even one a brother love.
Let's strangle all this vernal love. love, autumnal and eternal love.
So down with evening journal love.
Hail, hail, a new day's here. Who are Jack and Jilly love, cottage on the hilly love, Garbo love, Gable love,
Under Tony's table love.
Russian love, Parisian love, also Polynesian love. Yeah, bravo! Down with all this middle class devotion. Yeah, down with all this bourgeoisie emotion.
Down with love, the blouse and rice and shoes. Down with love, the root of all midnight blues. Oh, down with things that give you that well-known pain. Take that moon and wrap it in cellophane. Down with love, let's liquidate all its flames. Moon and June and roses and rainbows there. Down with songs that moan about night and day. Down with love, yes, take it away, away, away,
away,
away.
Take it away.
Give it back to the birds and the bees and the violins. Down with eyes romantic and stupid. Down with sighs, down with Cupid. Brother, let's stop that dove. Down with love.
I was the star kicker of old Siwash. Many's the time the coach used to say to me, McGee, he'd say, you do more kicking than all the rest of the boys put together. I was the big toe of the Big Ten then. Pigskin McGee, I was known as in them days.
Oh, my.
Pigskin McGee, positively the most popular pachyderm in padded pants, prodigious passer, plunger, and punter, perfect powerhouse and pile driver plays, pounding opponents to pulp, pleasing patrons and press, and predominating the pigskin picture, public and private, from Pensacola to Pittsburgh.
Radio was a natural fit for live sporting events. No longer did sports fans have to buy a ticket to experience a live match. The fledgling National Football League, as well as the traditional college football and Major League Baseball, all saw a huge growth in their fan base thanks to radio exposure.
Yeah, he got an offer to play with the New York Giants.
Oh, that's the baseball team, silly.
Is it? Or maybe it was the Brooklyn Dodgers. Do they play baseball, too?
There's a difference of opinion about that, Sil.
Athletes became celebrities, still famous to their fans for their athletic skills, but also known by the rest of the public as famous for their radio fame.
Tonight's play concerns one type of court. Now we hear from a young woman who's made history on another kind. 7 times Wimbledon tennis champion, 7 times United States champion, and 4 times champion of France. An unequaled record. Helen Wills Moody, as one of the greatest of all women athletes. I introduce her tonight with the hope that she'll settle a question in the mind of everyone who follows this sport of king and commoner. Mrs. Moody, have you given up tournament tennis for good, or is there a chance you'll return?
I should like to go on one more tour, which would include Wimbledon and Forest Hills. It's difficult, however, to leave home for such a long time as is required for the summer tournaments. But there's something irresistible about tennis, and I find myself playing regularly at home in San Francisco 4 or 5 times a week.
In a few days, the matches will begin at Wimbledon. That must be rather a hard call for you to resist.
Indeed it is, but after all, it isn't Wimbledon or championships that make tennis such a grand game. It's the finest sport in the world because it's everybody's game, a sport for all ages. When I was in Stockholm, I played with King Gustav of Sweden, who's still on the courts in his late 70s. Here in Hollywood, you'll find many of the stars playing remarkably well, not only for exercise, but because they know tennis develops poise. Among them are stars like Errol Flynn, Clark Gable, Gilbert Rowland, Warner Baxter, Greta Garbo, Ronald Coleman, and Merle Oberon.
I understand that now you're devoting a lot of time to designing clothes and painting. How does an artist's brush feel in a hand accustomed to a tennis racket?
The fields are not so far removed as you may think, Mr. DeMille. The action of a tennis game, the sweep of the strokes, the graceful lines, the rhythm of motion, are qualities that lend themselves very readily to an etching or a pencil sketch. Look at a good painting, and then at a good game of tennis, and you'll find a kindred artistry. As for clothes, my interest in designing was stimulated when I once found myself with a match on my hands, but no outfit. I was in a large city and yet couldn't find a store that had sensible sport clothes. Most of my designs have been for active sportwear, but I have also done some bathing suits and street dresses. Since I've been doing this designing work, my attention has been called to the problem of keeping up the attractiveness of sportwear, and I know that the answer has been found in the use of Lux Flakes. Sportwear lasts longer, looks better, and stays fresher when cared for with a splendid product responsible for this program.
It's obvious, Mrs. Moody, that you believe in having a variety of interests.
Yes, I believe if you have one main interest and a variety of lesser interests, it makes for greater happiness. In proof of which, I've also tried my hand at writing, and I've just completed a book. I've called it 15 to 30, because it deals not only with tennis, but with the experiences I've had and what I hope I've learned during those years. All my thanks, Mr. DeMille, for asking me to appear in the Lux Radio Theater.
I'm sure you'll be a champion among authors, too.
Sports celebrities and owners had always seen radio as a natural marketing tool. Hollywood was just coming around to a favorable opinion of what radio could do for them. Going back to the 1920s, when radio first emerged as a national phenomena, the film studios imposed strict rules forbidding their actors and technicians from dabbling in radio. The Hollywood establishment made it quite clear. You could be in the movies or you could be on radio. Pick one. Some of it was protecting their stars from overexposure, but mostly it was about competition and making money. At first it had seemed that the radio was stealing the film audience. Box office sales declined as folks could now stay home and be entertained for free by huge vaudeville stars like Jack Benny, Ed Wynn, and Eddie Cantor. When Amos and Andy was on, 50% of American radio households stay home to listen. It got so bad some movie theaters would stop the movie to pipe in the Amos and Andy radio show just so the theater audience wouldn't leave to get to a radio for the most popular show in America. No wonder Hollywood had thought radio was the enemy at first. But little by little, the size of the radio audience and lure of free publicity led the major studios to want to use radio to bring folks back to theaters, and a synergy began. Guest stars from the movies always got great radio ratings, and radio was shamelessly plugging these same stars in the movies they appeared in. Both radio and film audiences grew. By 1937, one of radio's highest-rated shows was dedicated to movies. The Lux Radio Theater had started in New York to present radio adaptations of current stage plays. But the show moved to Hollywood and began adapting current films. Movie legend Cecile B. DeMille produced and hosted the show, and all the great movie stars of the day appeared. The line where the film world ended and the radio world had begun was now completely erased.
Remaking this film must bring back many memories of Hollywood of the old days. Things must have changed tremendously.
Yes, everything has changed, including the weather. Today, Hollywood Boulevard is one of the busiest streets on the West Coast. But I recall a conversation with Charlie Chaplin, who stood on one side of the boulevard, and I on the other, calmly discussing our new pictures.
Interesting, but how could you hear each other with all the traffic noise?
Well, the only noise then was the sound of oranges growing in the groves that lined the boulevard. In those days, Western pictures were at their height, and cowboy actors would spend the morning being photographed on horseback, chasing invisible Indians or shooting them from behind rocks and trees. And then after lunch, these same actors would be dressed and painted as Indians, and they'd be filmed running away from invisible cowboys. When the picture was screened, it was not unusual for the same actor dressed as the cowboy to shoot himself dressed as the Indian. Actors were very versatile in those days.
You've been in pictures for 20 years, Doug. But no one will believe it, judging from your looks.
Pardon me, did you say looks or lux?
Oh, good going. And since we're on the subject of Lux soap, why not a word about what Hollywood studios think about it?
I'll do better than that, Bart. I'll say 2 words. It's tops.
Thank you. And now, from your experience as an actor, director, writer, and producer, what's your opinion of radio in Hollywood?
The radio has probably become the biggest asset to motion pictures in the past year or so. I believe each helps the other, so long as entertainment maintains the standard set by the Lux Radio Theater. In the silent days, actors like polite little boys and girls were seen but not heard. But now you hear them whether you see them or not. Thank you.
Bye, Doug.
Film studios became delighted with the synergy developing between film and radio. Movies plugged on the high-rated radio shows saw a bump at the box office. Movie stars got increased fan mail after successful radio appearances. Radio stars appeared in films. Radio and film were best friends. Film stars and radio stars became stars in the same sky. Radio and film were codependent.
Hi-ho, 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 it's off to work we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho.
Say, Mr. Bergen, what are those little fellows? Goblets?
No, the word is goblins, Charlie.
That's what I said, gobblers.
No. Goblins. And besides, they're not goblins. They're dwarfs.
Well, make up your mind, Bergen.
Charlie, you are being highly honored tonight.
Yeah?
Yes. For the first time, the 7 little dwarves have stepped out of the pages of the story Snow White to pay you a visit.
That's so. You mean Snow White from Grimm's Fairy Tales?
Yes. Charlie, Walt Disney has brought them to life on the screen, and you're going to have the first opportunity to meet them. Aren't the dwarves cute?
Yeah, they are. They're almost as cute as me.
Charlie.
Huh?
As cute as I.
All right. As cute as you, Bergen. But you're spoiled.
All right. Charlie, once upon a time, there were 7 little dwarfs who always sang while they worked. Do you like to sing while you work?
Well, I like to sing.
You like to sing?
Yes. Zazuzan, old Zazuzan. Go to work, fellas.
Whistle while you work. Put on that green and start right into whistle while you work. So hum a merry tune. Just do your best and take the rest and sing yourself a song.
When there's too much to do, don't let it bother you.
Forget your trouble, try to be a cheerful, take a key and whistle while you work. Come on, get smart, tune up and start to whistle while you work. When there's too much to do, don't let it bother you. Forget your trouble, try to be just like the cheerful chickadee and whistle while you work. Come on, get smart, tune up and start to whistle while you work. So whistle while you work.
Well, Charlie, these are the 7 little dwarfs. Bashful, docked, dopey, sleepy, happy, sneezy, and grumpy.
Well, what, no Groucho and Harpo?
No. Grumpy, this is Charlie McCarthy.
So what? Oh, real little fellow, isn't he?
Yes.
Hello, Grumpy. Nice day we're having, huh?
Yeah, what's nice about it? Had too much sun this week.
Oh, well, last week was all right, eh?
Had too much rain last week.
Oh, nice person to have around, isn't he? What kind of weather do you like?
I don't like any kind of weather. I don't like you either.
All right, one subject at a time now.
I can't waste my time talking to you. I'm leaving.
Yeah. So long, Sourpuss.
Charlie, this little dwarf is Sneezy.
Oh, hello. Well, why do they call you Sneezy?
I don't know. I guess it's just because I can... Just me.
Oh, so that's it, huh?
Anyhow, Charlie, I'm pleased to know.
Well, I'm pleased to meet you. What's the matter with you?
I have
Hey, nanny, and a hot choo-choo.
I have save me!
Hold your nose.
That stopped it. Thank you, Charlie.
Oh, don't mention it. I knew he'd do it. Hey, what's the matter with that little fellow? What's the matter with that fellow? Who's this fellow here? Oh, this is Doc. Doc here. Oh, hello, Doc. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm pleased to meet you. I'm pleased to greet. I'm pleased to.
I'm sorry I met you.
You're a nice little sap. I mean, a nice little trap. A slice little flip. An ice pack. I mean, you.
Put on your brakes. I think you passed it.
I've got to go now. I mean, I've got to go. Gold. The mean queen. I mean, the queen meanie. The queen me. The me is she's approaching. I've got to go.
What are you talking about?
Oh, you'll find out. I've got fleas. I mean, I've got to flee. Yes.
Charlie, Doc was trying to tell you that the Queen is here.
Well, he certainly did it the hard way. Oh, ta-ra-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Bring on the Queen. Where is she, Hart?
Well, you won't like her, Charlie. No. She turns to a witch and kills people.
Really?
Yes. Yes, she's very jealous, and she's jealous of Snow White, and she's trying to kill her. She's even gone so far as to put poison in apples.
Well, that's going too far.
Yes.
My goodness. Well, she can't get away with that. Queen or no queen.
Did you call me?
Oh, no.
I am the Queen. I am beautiful. The most beautiful in all the land. I am beautiful.
Bergen, I think she thinks she's beautiful.
I know I am beautiful, for I have a mirror that tells me the truth. Wait, I shall prove it. This is my mirror.
What wouldst thou know, my queen?
Holy smokes, Bergen, the mirror talks.
I am the mirror. I can tell only the truth. You may ask me anything you wish.
All right, I will. Who is the handsomest man in all the land, and why am I?
You are not.
Hold on there, mirror. Don't start casting reflections.
But I am the most beautiful in all the land. Am I not, my mirror?
Alas, my queen, Snow White is far more fair than thou.
Then 'tis true, but 'twill not be for long. Snow White shall die.
What was that noise? Where did the Queen go?
I told you, Charlie, she practices the art of witchcraft.
Oh.
Sometimes she's a queen and sometimes a witch.
Well, which is which, really?
The Queen is a witch. Now watch out for her.
Yeah, witch or no witch, I'll take care of Snow White.
Oh, thank you, Charlie. You will protect me from the Queen?
Are you Snow White?
Why, yes, I am.
Oh, well, believe me, the mirrors certainly speak the truth. Snow White, you're a knockout.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet.
Oh, that's nothing. Take my advice, Snow White, and beware of poisoned apples.
Did I hear somebody say anything about apples? Won't you buy my bright red apple?
Oh, isn't it pretty, Charlie? That's the most beautiful apple I've ever seen.
Don't touch it. Bergen, it's the Queen changed to a witch, and she thinks I don't know it.
Oh, please. May I have the apple, Charlie?
Yes, why, I'll buy the pretty apple for you. I've got my money in my coat in the closet. Follow me, kind old lady.
I'm a kind old woman, and Snow White will soon eat the poison apple.
Sweet kid. That's what you think. Step right. Lock it, or...
Why did you get me in this closet? Let me out of here. I want to talk to the governor.
It won't do you any good. Walt Disney is the only one that can release you.
I'll poison you yet.
A lot of sneering going on around here. Oh, Snow White.
Yes, Charlie. My Prince Charming.
Oh, Snow White. Drift a little closer.
Oh. Isn't he wonderful, Grumpy?
Well, I hate to admit it, but I like him. What do you think, Stacey?
I think he's... What do you think, Tom? In behalf of the seven course, I want to show my attitude, my lunch. I want to...
Smoke mention it. I mean, don't mention it. Smoke it. Oh, that's just so long.
1937 was the year of Charlie McCarthy. Everybody had gotten used to the irony of a ventriloquist act being on the radio, and so no one blinked an eye when the Charlie McCarthy show shot straight to #1 in the ratings, and the block of wood, Charlie McCarthy, was more popular and beloved than his flesh and blood partner, Edgar Bergen. Of course, like all overnight sensation, years of preparation were required. Bergen first began performing in vaudeville with Charlie McCarthy in 1922. In 1935, Bergen was making $300 per week. In 1936, the big breaks happened that would lead to worldwide fame, and on December 22, 1936, after 14 years of performing professionally, Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy had their debut as guests on the Rudy Vallee show. By 1937, Edgar and Charlie had suddenly become worth $10,000 a week.
Lemonade, get your dated lemonade here. Superb blend, one choice. Lemon, 3 gallons of water. You can't miss lemonade.
Say, Charlie, there's a reporter waiting to interview you.
Oh, no, I can't see reporters. I'm too busy. Bergen's hand is tired now from signing my autographs.
Say, look, Charlie, would it make any difference if I told you that this reporter was a charming young lady with lovely blonde hair?
I can't. What? Is she? Oh. Well, now, you should say those things, Amici. Remember, never keep the reporter waiting.
Charlie, this is Miss Glenda Farrell, the screen's ace newspaper woman, known to press and public as Torchy Blaine.
Oh, boy, is she a knockout. I'm carrying a torch for Torchy.
Hello, Mr. McCarthy. Now, all I want is the story of your life.
Well, I haven't lived it yet, but
No, now don't be so modest. From all the reports I get, you've done quite all right for a young man.
Well, I've had my moments, yes. You know over you have lovely eyes, Miss Farrell, Miss Blaine, Torchy, Cutie Pie.
Hold on there now, McCarthy. Don't count on adding me to your list. Where were you born, Mr. McCarthy?
Well, I was born... Oh, I see. Hard-boiled newspaper name, huh?
Were you born, Charlie, or did you sprout from the soil?
Well, you've been talking to Fields again, huh?
Mr. McCarthy, can I quote you as saying that Dorothy L'Amour is your big moment?
She was up to now, yes.
Oh, come. Let's not mix love and business.
All right, let's drop the business then, huh?
Now, listen, Playboy McCarthy, I've met your kind before.
Yeah?
Just because I'm a girl reporter, what makes you think you can make love to me?
Well, I don't know. I read so much about freedom of the press, I didn't know.
Well, the last man who said something like that to me kept a raw steak over one eye for a week.
Well, strike me blank. Are you a boxing reporter?
No, but I can arrange to have your ears boxed if you get too fresh.
You'd do that to me?
I wouldn't hesitate.
Now, Bergen, you stop putting those words in my mouth. I'm getting in trouble. Well, looks like this is going to be just an interview, huh?
Yes, doesn't it? Is monkey business your only business?
Well, no, I really have a big lemonade business here. I'm a magnate. I have a corner on a lemonade stand, on a corner on a stand on lemonade.
Oh, why, Charlie, why didn't you tell me that before? Well, you're a big lemonade magnate, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I just love big businessmen.
Yeah. Now, let's stick to the interview here now. Do you want to know where I was born?
No, I don't care about that, really. Does your lemonade business run into big profits?
Why is this for publication?
No, this is just between us.
Yeah, I see. Well, we do anywhere from $400 or something.
Does it really go as high as $100?
No, all of that. Yes, indeed. And with a good bookkeeping, I can run it even a little higher.
Oh, that's marvelous, Charlie.
Yes, indeed.
When do we go to Atlantic City, huh?
Atlantic City. Now, wait a minute here. Now,
look, I don't need more than 10 or 12 new gowns and a small Rolls Royce. Not the big one, a small one.
Sure.
And a diamond bracelet or two. Not the big stones, 10, 20 carats.
Sure.
That'll be all right.
Sure.
You don't mind if I ask for a few little trinkets like that?
No, I don't mind if you ask. I don't mind.
I'd like to have a yacht, too.
Why not? Well, no, the yacht's out, no. You might fall overboard.
Oh, Charlie, how could I possibly fall overboard?
Well, I could push you.
Yes, you could, but I could push a little myself.
Remember, I float now.
Oh, I can just picture it, Charlie. We two together.
Yes.
Oh, aren't we going to have fun?
Well, yes. Now, wait a minute. Now, just a moment here. What are you trying to make out of this? Now, I'll tell you why. Why don't you have Bergen? Why don't you have him take you out? Now, there's a man of wealth.
Bergen?
Uh-huh.
Bergen has money?
Oh. He's the ideal boyfriend, I'm telling you.
Yes. You think he'd be all right for me, huh?
Yes. He has money, swimming pool, townhouse, badminton court, and all that stuff.
Well, that's wonderful.
Confidential.
Well, if I can't have you, then that's something to think about.
Yes, not much, but it's something.
So Bergen has money.
Oh, scat.
That's very interesting. By the way, Charlie, what does Bergen do to make his money?
Well, I don't know. All I do is sit on his knee, that's all.
Move over, Charlie.
Legend has it that in 1936, Elsa Maxwell hired Bergen to entertain at a private party she was throwing in honor of playwright Noel Coward.
Marion Davies has given Hollywood two things for which the town may be thankful. A good fellowship, which has inspired so much loyalty, and a great white landmark on the ocean front, her home at Santa Monica Beach. A quiet little gathering there may mean from 30 to 1,000 guests, and may include princes, giants of business, statesmen, and the nation's leading socialites, all being quite themselves under the spell of their charming and unassuming hostess. I've seen prominent ambassadors play ping-pong in the cellar, and a world-renowned scientist romping with Marion's 4 dachshunds. She's forbidden me to mention that she's active in a number of charities, so just pretend I didn't mention it. Aside from that, she grows hundreds of flowers and engages in the business affairs of Cosmopolitan Studios. Tonight, she plays a role in which she always excels. Peg in Peg of My Heart. Opposite her is that very resolute young man, Brian Ahern. For years, Brian struggled against becoming a star. It all began when, at the age of 3, his mother practically thrust him on the stage. Brian showed his displeasure by howling throughout the entire performance. Still a rebel, he was enrolled in a London dramatic school at 10. His fellow students included an upperclassman, whom he recalls as a brash youngster with large ears and an assertive ambition. Once when Brian sent his autograph book to Reginald Owen, he found upon its return that the boy with the big ears had included his own signature. The uninvited autograph read, Noel Coward.
Noel Coward was so impressed he recommended Bergen for a booking at the Rainbow Room, where Rudy Vallee first saw the act. On December 17, 1936, the Rudy Vallee Fleshman's Yeast Hour guest-starred Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. Beginning in January 1937, Edgar and Charlie were regulars on Rudy Vallee's show. Edgar Bergen became a star thanks to the Fleshman Yeast Hour.
Hi-ho, everybody. This is Charlie McCarthy talking. I'm going to talk tonight on fourth dimension. I may even get into fifth dimension. Up to my neck into it. All right.
Now, just a moment, young man. Before you go ahead with this talk, I want you to know
Yes.
that you had a very interesting letter from Washington, D.C.
Is that so?
Yes, a fan letter.
Oh, boo-boo-boo.
Yes.
What did they want to know?
Well, they'd like to know something about your love life.
Well, there isn't much to say.
Oh, there isn't?
No, not really.
Oh, I see. Then you haven't had a love life.
Well, I wouldn't say that either, no. I get around a little.
Oh, I see.
But I don't feel that it should be public.
Oh, I see.
Was she interested?
Yes, this was a very charming girl.
Oh, it was?
Yes.
Well, now that's different.
Yes.
Maybe I should read my fan letters a little closer.
I think you ought to.
Yes. What did she say?
Well, she wants to know all about you. Yes.
Well, it's not twiddle-tattle.
Oh, no.
It's got to be the real thing, you know.
Oh, yes.
It's got to be heavy love.
Yes.
steady going and like that.
Oh, yes. But aren't you a little bit young to have a sweetheart?
Well, of course, I'm not getting any younger.
Oh, I see.
So, I was going steady when I was 7 years old.
Is that right?
Yes, indeed.
Well,
she was only 8, though.
I see.
She wasn't very sophisticated.
I don't suppose so.
I don't think it was real love.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
No. What about school?
Oh, I had lots of sweethearts here. In zoology class, I met Catherine and Gertrude and Eleanor.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. I went steady with all of them, too.
Fine. You met them all in zoology class?
Mm-hmm. I was pretty good in zoology,
I should say. Yes.
Catherine sat in front of me, and Eleanor sat in back of me. Oh, what fun, what fun.
Yes.
What laughs.
Yes. But at the end of the year, did you know anything about zoology?
Well, not as much as I knew about Catherine and Gertrude.
No.
No. All I can remember is once I had to dissect a frog.
Dissect a frog?
Yes.
Did you find out what made it croak?
I think it was the chloroform I gave it. Yes. I was supposed to study the nervous system.
Yes.
But I didn't make anything out of it, no. Didn't mean a thing to me.
I did. Didn't help you?
No. I don't think it helped the frog any either. I could put it back together again.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Well, now tell me about this Catherine.
Oh, yes. Oh, I gave her my pin.
Oh, your pin?
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Yes.
What fraternity?
Boy Scout pin.
Oh, Boy Scout. Yes. Well, then it was serious.
Oh, it was, sure.
Yes. You were as good as married.
No, I was better than married.
Oh, you were?
Yes. Well, I couldn't have been worse than married.
No.
Oh, but that's all over now.
Well, what was the matter? What brought this love boat on the rocks?
Well, I guess I was too good to her.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I took her to the park, you see, and the zoo, and bought her candy and gum and Cracker Jack.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm. Two boxes. Yes. None of this divvy-up stuff.
Oh, I see.
And she got the best prize.
The best prize?
Yes, darn it.
I see.
So then going home one night, I said, let's hold hands, see?
Hold hands?
Mm-hmm. What do you think she said?
What did she say?
She said no.
No?
Boy, did I burn up.
I imagine.
After all the money I'd spent, too.
Yes. Well, don't you think it was a little out of order, insisting on holding hands?
Well, maybe it was. But I'm a wild sort of fella, you know.
Yes.
Yoo-hoo!
All right.
It's the gypsy in me.
Yes.
Ah-boo-boo-boo.
All right.
But what about you, Mr. Bergen? You must have had some romances, too.
Well, of course, I have also loved and lost.
Uh-huh.
2 years ago, I spent a good deal of time in China and Japan.
Oh, did you?
Yes. Very interesting color, very interesting country, and so colorful.
Yes. And it's so oriental, too.
Yes. I shall never forget a sight there of seeing these thousands of Chinese coolies, you know, working in the fields from sun up until sundown.
Yes.
Slaving away.
Yes.
So that they could give us our rice and our tea.
Yes.
It didn't seem fair.
No, it doesn't, does it?
No.
When you think that all we give them in return is our dirty laundry.
Yes.
No. But what about your romance, Professor?
Oh, yes. Well, when I was in Pango Pango...
You mean Pingo Pongo?
No, Pango Pango.
Oh, Pango. Oh, Pingo Pango. All join hands and circle to the left.
All right.
Oh, Suzanne.
All right.
I'm swinging out.
Yes, all right.
Yoo-hoo!
That will do, yes. Well, now, what was I going to say?
I don't know.
Yes.
When you were in China, did you see the dawn come up like thunder out of China Cross today?
Well, you read your poetry.
Oh, yes, I'm a little learned.
I can see that. Do you like to read poetry?
Well, it's better than being sent to the principal's office for not reading it.
I imagine so. Yes. Well, who's your favorite poet?
Oh, Longfellow, I guess.
Yes.
Who do you like?
Well, I always enjoyed Burns.
Burns?
Yes.
What did he write?
Well, he wrote to a field mouse.
He did what?
I say he wrote to a field mouse.
Did he?
Yes.
Did the mouse answer?
All right.
Well, I didn't know.
It's the name of a poem.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Never heard of it.
I see. Well, I think it was one of the best things that he wrote.
Is that so?
Yes.
Maybe it was his masterpiece.
All right.
Didn't care for it.
No, listen. Now, I want to tell you this, young man.
Yes.
There's no use trying to explain this poem to you. No, you won't appreciate it unless you've been out of the city. Unless you've lived close to nature.
Well, what do you mean out of the city? Don't I go up to my grandmother's house every summer?
Oh, you do?
Up in Michigan?
Oh, that's right.
On the good old farm?
Yes. Yes.
I've saw lots of mouses.
Whoa.
Huh?
What was that?
I said I've saw lots of mouses, I said.
You have?
Yes.
Where's your grammar?
She's still up in Michigan.
No. What I mean is...
Well, I don't understand.
What I wanted to say was this.
Well, say it. Did you forget your lines?
All right.
Would you like Rudy to play a chorus or two?
No, that's all right.
You're supposed to say, I don't know, interested.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Oh, that's all right.
Yes. It's a little embarrassing.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Really.
It's embarrassing for me, too.
Yes.
After all, I'm supposed to be the dummy.
Yes, I know.
Although Edgar Bergen appeared every week of the show, Rudy Vallee was the star, and Bergen was not. The public wanted more of Edgar and Charlie, so by September 1937, they were headlining their own radio show, the Chase and Sanborn Hour, which instantly became number one in the ratings.
In our constant attempt to give you the unusual in entertainment, we have at various times gone to far places in our search for talent and personalities. But next week, we exceed anything we have yet attempted. On that night, the Rudy Vallee Variety Hour will be broadcast from London, where Rudy has gone to attend the coronation. Now let me tell you what's going to happen to Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. On Sunday, May 9th, at 8 o'clock New York time, Edgar and Charlie start on another venture with the Chase and Sanborn Coffee Hour, a new program under the direction of Don Amici, with the great American composer and conductor, Werner Janssen, and his orchestra. Goodbye, Edgar, and goodbye, Charlie. Is there any word you'd like to have me give Rudy when he returns?
There certainly is.
Yeah, I wish Rudy was here so we could tell him ourselves.
Yes, so do I, but as long as he isn't, I wish you would say this to him. Tell him that now that we've been added to the long list of graduates of the Valley School, we wish to extend our deepest thanks to the professor, whose advice and wise counsel made all these new things possible for us. Goodbye, Graham.
Goodbye, Edgar. Goodbye, Charlie.
Goodbye, boys. Goodbye.
And don't forget the biggest Royal Gelatin program next week from London, England.
The Desert Song was from the production Desert Song, I've Got My Love to Keep Me Warm from Omni Avenue. This is the Red Network of the National Broadcasting Company.
On the Rudy Vallee show, Edgar usually only made one appearance on each show, a comedy routine with Charlie, and that was that. On the Chase and Sanborn Hour, Charlie was the star, and he appeared throughout the show. Audiences loved it, especially Charlie's weekly flirtation with his female guest star.
Betty, I am ready. When I see you, I'm unsteady.
Now remember, Charlie, behave yourself. Miss Davis is a dignified young lady and a fine actress.
Do you take me for a cad? Do you regard me as a bounder?
Well, I remember what you've done in the past.
Put your mind at rest, Bergen. I shall treat Miss Davis with the respect that one great artist gives another.
Is that a promise?
A word of honor, old chap.
Yes, very well, then.
Yes.
Miss Davis?
Yes, Mr. Bergen?
Charlie admires your work greatly and wants to meet you.
And I've always wanted to meet him.
Well,
welcome, Miss Davis. Welcome indeed. Thrice welcome.
You overwhelm me, Mr. McCarthy.
That's not a bad idea.
Now, Charlie.
No. I was carried away, Bergen. Carried away. No offense, Miss Davis.
Oh, no offense, Mr. McCarthy.
Miss Davis, your performance tonight was no less than superb.
Are you as flattering to all the girls you meet, Mr. McCarthy?
Oh, no. Girls may come and girls may go, but Davis is ever in my heart.
You're very kind, Mr. McCarthy.
Nothing, Helen. Miss Davis, I simply adored your picture. I sit on Bergen's knee, but I worship at your feet.
You touch me deeply, Mr. McCarthy. And may I add that I have found your antics constantly amusing?
Compared to your art, I'm only a buffoon, a thing of rags and tatters.
Yes, but under your mask, I am sure something deeper lies.
Oh, lies and lies and lies and lies.
You know, you have a certain pathos, the spirit of Pagliacci.
You mean Pagliacci wants a cracker? No. Oh, I shouldn't do those things.
With your acting, you should go far, Mr. McCarthy.
Oh, thank you.
The farther, the better.
Oh, How far can I go, Miss Davis? Charlie? Your promise, yes. No offense, Miss Davis?
Oh, no offense, Mr. McCarthy.
No. What would you say, Miss Davis, if I told you I thought you were a honey? Charlie? I won't say it, Bergen. A promise is a promise. All right.
Frankly, I'd like it, Mr. McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
If you hadn't promised Bergen.
I might ask you to meet me at luncheon tomorrow, Miss Davis, if I was allowed to say it, but you know how it is.
I'd be glad to go, if you hadn't promised Bergen.
Yes. You know, I'd ask you for a date tonight if I hadn't promised Bergen. No, that, Charlie. All right. Scram, Bergen, will you scram? I have a little hideaway in the hills, Betty. I'd take you there, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth.
And I'd be glad to go, and ditto, and ditto, and ditto.
Charlie, remember. Oh, will you scram, Bergen? And under the stars, Betty, I would tell you how wonderful you are. If I hadn't promised Bergen. Now remember, Charlie. Oh, scram, Bergen. Miss Davis, I really ought to warn you.
Scram, Bergen.
Charlie's show was the scene of the greatest sex scandal of 1937 radio. Charlie and Edgar would continue as if nothing happened. Their guest star would be blackballed from radio by the networks, effectively banned from the airwaves. It would take until 1950 before she would again be allowed on a national broadcast. The great Mae West incident happened on the Charlie McCarthy Show. The broadcast was attacked by organized religious conservative groups. It was smut, they said, lascivious, lewd, lustful, and so sexually suggestive that all would be lost if this harlot was not stopped. Guest star Mae West appeared in 2 segments on the show, segments written for her by men and approved by the show's sponsors. There was a comedy sketch with Don Amici and a saucy routine between Mae and Charlie McCarthy.
And with that nice bit of foreshadowing by Dorothy Lamour, we come to the event itself, which is the presence of Mae West in our company tonight. Miss West has carved such a sizable niche for herself in the Hall of Fame with her unique characterizations that not only is her name known in every home up and down the country, but the phrases and expressions which she has originated have almost become a part of the American language. For us, she forsakes the picture hats and sweeping dresses of the gay 90s, which you find so becoming in her new picture, and turns back time to step into the Garden of Eden and into the character of the most fascinating woman of them all, Eve. Wendell, will you set the scene for us?
Well, of course, we find Adam and Eve in the famous Garden of Eden, and this light-hearted travesty about what might have taken place in those days when the world was young was written for us by Arch Oboler, one of radio's better-known writers. Under a spreading fig tree rests one Mr. Adam, sprawled out lazily in the hot sun. Eve, obviously, is bored beyond endurance as they play a game of cards with a deck of fig leaves.
Listen, tall, tan, and tired. It's time I told you a thing or two. Ever since creation, I've done nothing but playing double solitaire. It's disgusting. It's got me down.
Well, we've got a nice place here.
That's the trouble. It's too nice.
Well, I'm not complaining.
But I want something to happen. A little excitement, a little adventure. A girl's got to have a little fun once in a while. There's no future under a fig tree.
Oh. Now, come on, woman. Be like me. Why don't you relax and just take it easy,
Because I'm a lady of big ideas.
Yeah, what kind of ideas?
Oh. You've no idea. Listen, Adam, I've got to get a chance to expand my personality.
Well, go on, expand.
I will, out there.
Out there? You mean outside the gates of the Garden of Eden?
Now you're talking.
Oh, but who knows what's out there?
I'd find out.
Oh, no, we can't go. We've still got a lease on this place.
You mean... You mean to tell me a lease is the thing that's holding me back from developing my personality?
Well, a lease is a lease. Anyway, we've got a nice place here. Temperature perfect, sun always shining, nothing but a heavy dew once in a while.
What are you, the Chamber of Commerce?
Oh, go away and let me sleep, will you?
Listen, Adam. I tell you got to get me out of this place. You got to break the lease.
Yeah, but what for? This is Eden. Everything is peaceful and quiet and safe.
That's the trouble. It's too safe. I tell you, it's disgusting.
What are you talking about?
Adam, you don't know a thing about women.
Oh, you apparently forget you were originally one of my own ribs.
Yeah. A rib once, and now I'm beefing.
Me, I know everything about women.
That's covering a lot of territory. Listen, long, lazy, and lukewarm. You think I want to stay in this place all my life?
I do, and I tell you, you're one of my ribs.
Yeah, but one of your floating ribs. A couple of months of peace and security and a woman's board all the way down to the bottom of a marriage certificate.
Well, then what do you want? Trouble?
Trouble. Listen, if trouble means something that makes you catch your breath, if trouble means something that makes your blood run through your veins like seltzer water, Adam, my man, give me trouble.
Oh, Eve, you don't want trouble.
Now, tell me the low-down truth. Ain't there any way you can break our lease?
Well, yes, there is. But I won't tell you.
No?
No, this is paradise. Free light, free heat, free meals. What else could a man want? Answer me that.
I got a couple of good ideas if you'll tell me how to break the lease.
No, I won't do it.
Oh, Adam.
What?
Come on over here.
What for, to hold hands?
Oh, that old game? Can't you think of something new? You know nothing about nothing.
Oh, yes, I do. I know more than you do, woman.
Oh, what, for instance?
I know all about the tree.
What tree, man? What tree?
That apple tree in the middle of the garden. The lease says that if we eat any of its fruit, we get thrown out of here.
Oh, now is that a fact?
Sure, that's why there's a fence around it. I tell you, one bite of those apples and we get a dispossess.
How fascinating. Adam, you can hold my hand now.
No, I got a better idea.
Oh, yeah? I'm listening. I'm waiting. What are you going to do now?
I think I'll go fishing.
Oh. How disgusting.
Now, wait a minute. You can't talk to me that way. Do you realize I'm man number one?
Yeah, but I am number one man.
Well, I'll see you around supper time. I'll be back.
So that's the trouble. So it's a tree over there. Hello, tree. How would you like to do a little lease breaking for a woman with ideas, Not room enough to squeeze through those slats for a woman of my personality. Now, if I only knew someone skinny enough.
Salutations,
Oh,
Mrs. Eve.
if it isn't Mr. Snake. Hello, long, dark, and slinky.
Mrs. Eve, why are you standing by that tree?
Stop wiggling and I'll tell you. Listen, I know you don't approve, but I've got a little proposition to make.
I certainly refuse to listen. What is it?
Do you think with the proper provocation you could squeeze through that fence around the tree?
That's the forbidden tree.
Oh, don't be technical. Answer me this, my palpitating python. Would you like to have this whole paradise to yourself?
Certainly.
Okay, then pick me a handful of fruit. Adam and I'll eat it. And the Garden of Eden is all yours. What do you say?
Sounds all right. But it's forbidden fruit.
Listen, what are you, my friend in the grass or a snake in the grass?
But forbidden fruit.
Are you a snake or are you a mouse?
I'll do it.
Now you're talking. Here, right in between those pickets.
I'm stuck.
Oh, shake your hips. There, now you're through.
I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, but you're doing all right. Now get me a big one. I feel like doing a big apple.
Here you are, Mrs. Eve.
I see. Nice going, swivel hips.
Wait a minute. It won't work. Adam will never eat that forbidden apple.
Oh, yes, he will, when I'm through with it.
Nonsense, he won't.
He will if I feed it to him like women are going to feed men for the rest of time.
What's that?
Applesauce.
Eve? Where are you, Eve?
Waiting, my love. Just waiting.
Oh, hello, Eve. What have you been doing?
Me? Oh, I've just been making a little history.
Huh?
The first woman to make a monkey out of a snake.
Say, how about supper? And don't tell me we got fig stew again.
Oh, no. Something new, so help me. Something new. Here, have a bite of this.
Well, what is it?
A new kind of sauce. It's good for you.
Are you sure?
Just to prove it's pure, 100% proof, I'll have a demi-tasse of it myself. All right, I'll...
Oh, well...
No, wait. Before you eat, answer me this. Are you going to take me out of this dismal dump and give me a chance to develop my personality?
Oh, Eve, are you going to start that over again?
No, I'm going to end it. Eat your sauce, big boy, and hold your hat if you got one.
Oh, say, this is darn good sauce. Where did you find it? Oh, my head. What happened to me?
We've been dispossessed.
Yeah, but why?
Forbidden apple sauce.
Oh, Eve, what have you done?
I've just made a little more history, that's all. I'm the first woman to have her own way, and a snake will take the rap for it.
But, Eve, we've lost the Garden of Eden. We're just... Eve, it's as if I see you for the first time. You're beautiful.
And you fascinate me.
Your eyes.
Oh, tell me more.
Your lips. Come closer. I want to hold you closer. I want to...
You want to what?
Eve, what was that?
That was the original kiss.
Thank you, Mae West, for that most illuminating glimpse of the lady who was responsible for so much history. The Chase and Sanborn now with Nelson Eddy, Mae West, Edgar Bergen, Charlie McCarthy, Dorothy Lamour, the Stroud twins, and Robert Armbruster will continue in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, at last the long-awaited meeting of Siren Mae West and Casanova Charles McCarthy has arrived. This is the romantic battle of the century, the dramatic moment that millions have been looking forward to. Tension is running high, and so are the bets. The odds are Mae West 5, Charlie McCarthy 3. There's some talk that Charlie will weaken. They say no man can resist her. But there are others who feel that Charlie will vanquish the vampire. Wait a minute. Last-minute flash. There's been a drop in the odds. Mae West 4, Charlie McCarthy 4.5. Let's get a word from the challenger, Charlie McCarthy. What have you got to say, Charlie?
It looks like a tough fight, Mom, but I think I'll win.
Why do you say it's a tough fight?
Well, my opponent's in great form. He's had lots of training.
What do you think of your chance of winning?
Well, I've had some great fights in the East.
What do you think of West?
Mighty pretty country, mighty pretty.
Well, Charlie's never been in better condition. He's a fashion plate with his midnight blue full-dress suit, top hat and monocle, and a blue-white butterfly tie and dress shirt.
Yeah, it's PK.
PK tie and shirt.
Yeah, shot with gravy.
And now a word from the champion, Mae West. We've heard so much about you, Miss West. Won't you say a word?
Well, all I've got to say is where there's smoke, there's fire.
Wow. Boy, she burns me up.
There's nothing I'd like better than the aroma of burning wood.
I wonder if she means me.
You better watch out, Charlie. Say, Charlie, do you smell that perfume?
Yeah. Isn't it ravishing? Yes, it is. It's ravishing. It's weakening. So help me. I'm swooning. Woo-hoo-hoo. What is it?
Why, it's my favorite perfume, Ashes of Men.
Uh-oh. Ashes of Men. Holy smoke. She's not going to make a cinder out of me.
Well, Don, there's been a great deal of talk, but very little action so far. Right you are, Edgar. Miss West, this is the famous Charlie McCarthy.
Oh, hello, short, dark, and handsome.
Hello, tall, blonde, and terrific.
Charlie, that's no way to talk to Miss West. You hardly know her.
I know it, Bergen. I'm a cad. I hate myself.
Oh, listen, Charlie, are these your keys?
Oh, thanks, May. Did I leave them in the car?
No, you left them in my apartment.
Oh. Uh-oh. Looks like we're going to have a white Christmas. Oh, jingle bells, jingle bells. Charlie, where did you leave those keys? Where did you leave those keys? I'm telling you.
He left them on my dresser. So what? Charlie, why don't you walk out on Bergen? What's holding you?
Well, he is. You better tell him, May.
Well, if you want to know, he did come up to see me.
Oh, he did. And what was he doing up there?
Well, Charlie came up and I showed him my etchings. And he showed me his stamp collection.
There you have it, Bergen. There you have it. Yes. So that's all there was to it. Just etchings and a stamp collection. He's so naive.
So that's what's the matter with him. Come here, honey, closer, so we can talk intimately.
Yeah, well, if you don't mind, I think I'd better keep my distance.
Well, I don't like long-distance conversation, so come here. I thought you were going to have a nice long talk Tuesday night at my apartment. Where did you go when the doorbell rang?
Well, I tried to hide in your clothes closet, but two guys kicked me out. So I went out the back door.
Don't tell me you went out through the French windows. I'm on the third floor, you know.
Oh, so that's what it was, the French windows, huh? I was going to say you were pretty skimpy with those back steps.
Oh, you look pretty good to me, Charlie. Come here.
But I thought you only liked tall men.
Oh, that was my last year's model. This year I'm on a diet.
Oh, so that's it. You're on a diet. Yes. Tell me, Miss West, have you ever found the one man in your life that you could really love?
Sure, lots of times.
Oh, could you even like Mr. Bergen?
Oh, Mr. Bergen. Well, of course. He's very sweet. In fact, he's the right guy. Confidentially, you'll have to show me a man I don't like.
That's swell. Bergen's your man. You know, he can be had.
On second thought, I'm liable to take him away from you. Then what do you say?
Well, if you take Bergen away, I'm speechless.
You ain't afraid I'll do you wrong?
Well, now that you ask,
Oh, you're afraid I'll do you right?
Well, I'm slightly confused. I need time for that one, man.
That's all right. I like a man what takes his time. Why don't you come up home with me now, honey? I'll let you play in my wood pile.
Well, I'm not feeling very well tonight. I've been so nervous lately. I think I'm going to have a nervous breakdown. Wait, there I go. Oh.
So, good time Charlie's going to play hard to get. Well, you can't kid me. You're afraid of women. Your Casanova stuff is just a front. A false front.
It's not so loud, May. Not so loud. All my girlfriends are listening.
Oh, yeah, you're all wood in a yard long.
Yeah.
You weren't so nervous and backward when you came up to see me in my apartment. In fact, you didn't need any encouragement to kiss me.
Did I do that?
Oh, you certainly did. I got marks to prove it. Slithers, too.
Oh, that's too much. This is too much.
Well, get this. I don't need you. I got all the gentlemen friends I want. Why, I got men for every mood. Men for every day in the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. A good man Friday, ass, and a good man Saturday. I change my men like I change my clothes. And you...
Hey, May, you're not walking out on me, are you?
I've got a reputation at stake. No man walks out on me. They might carry them out, but they never walk out.
I'm mad about you. I love you. I've acted like a fool.
That wasn't acting. Come here. I'll show you how to act.
Oh, but May, don't be so rough. To me, love is peace and quiet.
That ain't love, that's sleep.
Oh. Just cut it out, May. Cut it out. Help me, May. Omichi, help me.
Oh, call on Omichi. Call Bergen. Call everybody. I don't need any help.
As you can see, Western civilization itself was threatened by this broadcast. The righteous right wing clutched their pearls, collapsed onto their fainting couches, and went on the attack with pen and pulpit. When the dust settled, Mae West was blackballed from radio. As a result of Mae West's sexual deviance, the networks made their decency standards stricter and voluntarily began to consult with the organized religious groups about all things morality on the radio. None of the men responsible for the Mae West incident were punished. Edgar Bergen, Don Amici, and writer Arch Obler never suffered any consequences.
We love. When we want to kiss, we kiss. With a little petting, we're getting some fun out of life. When we want to work, we work. When we want to play, we play. In a happy setting, we're getting some fun out of life. Maybe we do the right thing, maybe we do the wrong. Spending each day just wending our way along. When we want to sing, we sing. When we want to dance, we dance. You can do your betting, we're getting some fun out of life. When you get to feeling low, just turn on the radio. Be a dial twister and mister, you'll find fun in life. If you're sick of taking bumps, if you're feeling in the dumps, simply flip the dial and smile at some comic jokes. Maybe 'twill be Jack Benny, Alan or Fibber McGee. Of course I won't kick if you happen to pick on me. There's a million laughs and quips waiting at your fingertips. Be a tuner-inner, a grinner, and you'll find that your mind will clear up and cheer up, and you'll get some fun out of life.
Jim and Marion Jordan, also known as Fibber McGee and Molly, were seasoned vaudevillians like Jack Benny, Edgar Bergen, Eddie Cantor, Ed Wynn, and Fred Allen. But unlike those others, Fibber McGee and Molly struggled with the transition to radio. They had been on the air since 1931 in one format or another, but never had a hit show. They tried format after format, trying to leverage their established characters to best advantage, but popularity eluded them. That all changed when the show became about them as a married couple at their home in the little town of Wistful Vista. They pretty much played the whole town. It is estimated that between them they played over 150 different characters, but it was the characters of long-suffering wife Molly and blowhard husband Fibber that America loved. By 1940, Fibber McGee and Molly would be bona fide cultural phenomena. But in 1937, they were still experimenting with format. In 1937, the format they followed from episode to episode was getting Fibber a new job. Each week, Molly pushed Fibber into a new job and then went there with him and watched him fail comically in all he attempted.
Say, looky here. Now, McGee, stop looking at the picture of that lady dressed up mostly in goose pimples.
Shucks, Molly, that's art.
Looks more like Eve to me.
No, sirree. That's Gypsy Rose Lee. I'll read you the headline that goes with the picture, Molly. Let's see. Morton Minsky claims no vulgarity in striptease.
Striptease, what's that? Is it something like a comic strip?
Well, that depends on who does it. This here Gypsy Rose, she's an expert at the tease.
I suppose she works in a little gypsy tease room.
Molly, that's pretty far-fetched.
That's what they said about me Uncle Dennis. That time he swallowed the poker chip and they fetched him 40 miles to a hospital.
Did he have openers? You get it, Molly? I
ain't funny, McGee.
Okay. It's your deal.
Well, shuffle the paper and turn to something interesting.
Okay.
The characters were fully formed at this point, and they soon realized that the show was at its best and funniest when it was about Fibber McGee and Molly at home, where the characters were the focus and plot was less important.
Well, I just wanted to run over and say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Now, when you get to Hollywood, I hope you get a nice bungalow.
Bungalow?
Daryl says everybody in pictures lives in a bungalow because they use one story over and over again.
1937 saw the manifestation of the great Jack Benny-Fred Allen feud. The Benny-Allen feud just kind of happened because of their deep friendship and history of needling each other lovingly in real life. The Benny-Allen feud lasted decades and resulted in 2 feature films and lots of comic routines. The comic personas of Jack Benny and Fred Allen were contrasting comic types, and in their comic points of view were the natural seeds of complete disagreement. Fred Allen had an intellectual humor, laden with puns and witty turns of phrase. He commented on events and people outside of himself. His comedy was in the tradition of Will Rogers, Mark Twain, and Washington Irving. Wry observations on the absurdities of modern life with a comic twist. Jack Benny had an emotional approach to humor and made himself the butt of the joke. The Jack Benny character was a vain, cheap, petty, but well-meaning man. He was mostly concerned about how things affected him personally and how he could appear to come out on top. Jack Benny, the character, was just the sort of man who gave Fred Allen copious foibles to observe. It was a conflict made in heaven. It actually began in 1936, but 1937 was the year it took off. There is a bit of scholarly disagreement about who started the feud. Some say Jack did when he did a parody of Allen's Alley on the Jack Benny Show in the spring of 1936. But Fred Allen didn't take up the bait, not reacting to Jack's satirical ribbing of the Fred Allen Show. Others say Fred Allen began the feud with a throwaway line during his last show of 1936. Jack Benny reacted with comic fury and made the insult a major topic of his next show. The feud got pretty hot after that, and audiences loved it. In 1936, the Fred Allen Show was an hour split into 2 parts. 30 minutes of the scripted comedy variety Town Hall Tonight, and a half hour of an amateur competition hosted by Fred Allen. The last show of 1936 was a children's competition hosted by Fred, where a 10-year-old violin prodigy appeared and played magnificently. Afterwards, Fred made a single, seemingly throwaway improvised jab at Jack Benny. In his first show of 1937, Jack Benny took that jab and ran with it. The insult that Jack's character felt and his desperate overcompensation became a running gag in the show. The episode was a hit. Other radio shows, especially Eddie Cantor, would begin milking this back and forth for laughs. A feud was born. Jack and Fred would spar multiple times on the radio throughout 1937.
All right, I'm sorry to have butted in. You go right ahead.
Well, it's quite all right. And the next one is Stuart Canham. He's a violinist, and he's from Edgemere, Long Island. Believe me, ladies and gentlemen, you haven't heard anything yet. He's really marvelous. And just what are you playing? The Bay by Schubert. The Bay by Schubert, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, wait a minute, Murray. I'm running an old... I don't want to butt in, but
Not
how old is he? Because this
well,
is...
just how old are you? 10 and a half.
10 and a half.
10 and a half.
This is the first time, probably, where you had a double talk MC that's been...
I still think I can take him over, though.
But not without the violin. Will you go right ahead, then, Murray?
Well, all right, now, you just give it to him and...
I think it's too bad, Stuart, that we haven't time to ask you to play an encore. You are, without a doubt, the most remarkable child violinist I have ever heard. Am I right, Murray? What do you think?
I think so.
How long have you been studying?
5 years.
5 years, huh? And you're 10 years old? And that isn't a full-size violin, is it?
No.
Did you start on that at 5 years or smaller?
No, smaller one.
Smaller than that, huh?
3/4. Huh?
And that's a 3/4, isn't it? Imagine if 10 or 15 years from now and you're playing the cello up under your chin there. What grade are you in at school?
Public school?
Public school? Do you go to public school?
5B.
5B? Where do you live? Edgemere?
Edgemere.
And you're in 5B, huh? Yeah. What do you know, Murray? A little fella in the 5th grade at school and already plays better than Jack Benny. Well, we want to thank you very much, Stuart, and it's certainly been a pleasure to have you here. And I'm still unconvinced. I'm going to watch you play again. I think you've got another arm comes out of your sleeve there. I don't think you're doing that all with 2 arms. And thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Hello again. This is Jack Benny, the lone wolf, talking. Can't get a date. I can have a date every night in the week if I want to.
Oh, I didn't mean anything, Jack. I just wanted to start out with a laugh, that's all.
Well, there's very little humor getting laughs at other people's expense. And that reminds me, come here a minute, Don. Did you hear Fred Allen last Wednesday night?
Oh, sure. It was a swell program. It was really great.
Don't review it, Don. Just answer yes or no. Did you hear Allen make those innuendos? You know, those slurring remarks about my violin playing?
Yes, I did.
Pretty catty, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know. He was just kidding, and you're taking it seriously.
Well, so would Heifetz or any other musician. Why didn't Fred make those cracks when we were both in New York instead of waiting till I'm 4,000 miles away? It ain't cricket, you know.
Oh, now, calm down, Jack.
Did you hear him, Phil?
Yeah. He was very funny.
Well, that's not the point. What does Allen know about music anyway? He's just a reformed juggler. Let him top that one.
Hello, Jack.
Well, as I live and breathe and stand under a strong light so people won't mistake the wrinkles in my face for a washboard, ho, 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 if it ain't Portland.
I mean Mary. Hope he heard that.
What's the matter with you, Jack?
Plenty. Did you hear Fred Allen Wednesday?
Yeah. Gee, that was a funny program. What laughs. Wow.
Don't elaborate, you little traitor. The way you talk about my violin playing, I ought to sue him.
You ought to sue your teacher, too.
Is that so? Well, I expected that from you. Anyway, for your information, young lady, I took violin lessons before Allen was born.
You did a lot of things before Allen was born.
Well, then let him respect his elders. Imagine saying that I couldn't play Flight of the Bumblebee at the age of 10. I played Flight of the Bumblebee so often I got the hive.
I bet you stung up the whole town with it.
Oh, yeah?
Mary, that was a honey.
Hey, wait a minute, Phil. You know, you're still on probation with me. If you don't behave yourself, I'll make you take back that watch you gave me for Christmas.
Okay, where is it?
Well, just be careful, that's all.
Hello, Jack.
What's so funny, Kenny?
Did you hear Fred Allen? Oh, boy, that guy kills me.
Yeah. Listen, Kelly, did you realize he insulted me?
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. I want to tell you something, and this goes for all of you. I'm going to make a rule right now. Hereafter, anybody working for me can listen to Allen's program. They mustn't enjoy it. And furthermore, either Fred Allen will have to apologize or send me a watch. And a good one, too.
Speaking of watches, folks, let me tell you about Jell-O.
What's that got to do with it?
Jell-O is first in favor because it's first in flavor. It's inexpensive and easy to make, and every day millions of people eat it.
That was very subtle, Don. How did you ever think of it?
Oh, it was nothing, Jack. Just an inspiration, that's all.
Well, say, Phil, I didn't see you over at Paramount's Silver Jubilee for Adolf Zucker last Thursday night. Where were you?
Well, I did want to be there, Jack, but I had to work.
Oh, that's too bad. We had a lot of fun. All the big stars were there. You know, Fred MacMurray and Mary Boland and Carol Lombard. It was a gala event.
Gee, I'm sorry I missed it.
So am I.
What a party. You know, after the show was over, I took Miss Lombard out. I mean, Carol. We went for a little drive.
Just the two of you?
No, Clark Gable went along. You know, for laughs. You know. See, he happens to be a friend of Carol's family. Also a good friend of Carol's.
So good that Jack sat in the rumble seat.
Who asked you?
Did you, Jack?
Well, I'm a sort of an outdoor man, you know. You know, one sniff of monoxide and I'm a new person. That's monoxide.
Well, then, Jack, Miss Lombard really had a date with Clark Gable, huh?
No, it was a kind of a trio, you know.
Oh, boy.
What is it, Kenny?
That Fred Allen sure panicked me.
I wish you'd tune in on us once in a while.
Any man that can stand before a microphone and say that I can't play a violin just isn't normal. That's all.
But, Jack, he didn't say that you couldn't play the violin.
No?
All he said was you shouldn't play it.
Oh, I see.
Say, Jack,
Yes, Mary?
all I heard him say was you couldn't play the violin at the age of 10.
I'm glad you brought that up, Mary, because I've got a photograph of myself right here, taken when I was 10 years old, playing the B on my violin. A very difficult number. Here, Mary, look. Yeah, what do you think of that?
I'm glad it's not a sound picture.
They didn't have them in those days.
But, Jack, now how can we tell what number you're playing?
Well, if you were a musician, you'd know. Say, who are you working for anyway, Fred Allen or me?
Jell-O.
Oh. Well, let me tell you something. I played violin in concert halls long before I knew anything about strawberry, cherry, orange, lemon, and lime.
You left out raspberry.
Yeah.
I bet the audience didn't.
That's right. Give Allen more ammunition to work with.
Let's see that picture a minute, will you, Mary?
Yeah, look at it, Phil. You're a musician. That proves conclusively that I'm an artist.
Well, Jack, anybody can have a picture taken with a violin.
Yes, Phil, but look, can't you tell from the way I'm holding it that I can play?
You're holding it upside down.
Well, it's much harder that way. Anyway, I had a small chin, and I couldn't put the violin under it.
Now you can put a cello under it.
Is that so?
Can I see the picture too, Jack?
Why? Why two twos? Why do you want to see the picture, Kenny?
Well, everybody else is getting laughs out of it.
Yeah, you don't need it. Don't get cute, Kenny. And another thing, Fred Allen said I only had 2 strings on my fiddle. Imagine, that's what he called my Stradivarius, a fiddle.
Is it a Stradivarius?
That's not the point. Anyway, you count. Mary, you count it, will you? How many strings do you see in this picture?
4.
See?
3 on the violin and 1 around your waist.
Well, that was to hold my trousers up. I was a poor boy in those days. That's what burns me up, Allen picking on a poor, defenseless boy. Anyway, I don't want to discuss it any further. I should stoop to argue with a toothpaste salesman.
Well, you could use one.
I said toothpaste, not toupee. Now, let's forget it.
Say, Mary, did you notice that Jack's been acting kind of strange all week, sort of jittery-like?
Yeah. This afternoon he handed me a glass of milk, and it was malted before I could grab it.
Why, he goes around with a violin under his arm and keeps muttering to himself. What's wrong with him, anyway?
He's got a bad case of Fred Allen.
He has?
Is it catching?
No.
Hello, kids. What's the trouble?
Oh, Phil, do you know where Jack is?
Sure, he's in the next room practicing his violin.
Oh.
He's been in there all day rehearsing that number called the B, and with the door closed, too.
Well, that helps.
Open the door, Mary, and call him out here, please.
Okay.
Hey, close that door.
Don't worry, we will. What are you doing, Jack?
What am I doing? What's this I got under my chin?
Another chin.
I mean, under both of them. I'm practicing the B.
Say, I thought you said you could play the B when you were a kid.
Well, I could, but a lot of honey has gone over the dam since then.
Oh, boy, that's a pip.
Did you get it, Kenny?
Not yet, but I will.
Well, keep right after it. It's a hot one. Darn that violin. And Fred Allen, too. Anyway, you fellas go ahead with the program. And, Kenny, get ready to do your song. I want to perfect my cadenzas.
Telegram for Jack Benny.
Take it, Mary. I'm busy.
Okay.
That was I've Got You Under My Skin from the motion picture Born to Dance, sung by...
Never mind, Don. I'll take it. I'm through practicing. That was Cheek to Cheek, sung by Kenny Baker. I didn't hear it, Kenny, but I imagine it was very good. How was it, fellas?
Oh, I did a great job, Jack.
Good. I knew it would be.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, of course, I suppose Fred Allen will go around saying you can't sing.
Well, can I?
Yes, can I? But he picks on... but he picks on everybody, especially when they have talent. Take my case, for instance.
Hold on a minute, Jack. I never heard Fred say anything detrimental about you or anyone else.
Neither have I.
Oh, I suppose you didn't hear him say that when I was 10 years old, I had my violin in a pawn shop. Well, didn't you? That's not the point. It was years later. And another thing, Allen isn't even his right name. You know that, Mary, don't you?
Is Benny yours?
And another thing. He should be the last one to talk. His product's only got one flavor. Wow! Chloe! Let him top that one. Yeah.
What happened?
Nothing, but it was loud.
Well, Jack, I noticed in today's paper where Allen is coming out here to Hollywood to make a picture.
Oh, he is? Well, that won't cause me or Gable to lose any sleep.
Me neither.
You keep out of it. Right away, he's a Gable. Well, all I can say is good luck to Mr. Allen and pictures. Of course, there's a limit to what a makeup man can do. Huh, Mary?
You ought to know.
Well, let's drop the subject. I don't care who's coming out here to make pictures. Nobody worries me, especially Allen.
Yeah, then what happened to your fingernails?
I was hungry. Now, let's go on with the program.
You're choking me. You're choking me.
Take your hands off him.
Knuckles, the big boss.
It's the killer.
Eddie, Bobby Breen gave me a message.
Gee, thanks for coming over.
Listen, you mugs, I want you to lay off this program. Cantor's a pal of mine. I'll give you some new territory. You go over to Jack Benny right away.
Oh, no.
No, don't send us there.
Oh, no.
You'll go and like it.
Please, we'll do anything. We'll bump off a guy. We'll crack a safe. But don't send us to Jack Benny.
Ah, you're yellow. You're afraid of Jack Benny.
No, it ain't that, boss. We just don't want to hear him play the B on his violin.
Get out. No! Get out!
No!
Look, it's a ghost. A ghost. A ghost. Wait a minute. Whose is it? What is it? Are you the ghost of Hamlet's father?
No, he couldn't come.
Why not?
Fred Allen hired him to haunt Jack Benny.
Jack Benny, will he play the B or not the B?
Ah, that is the question.
Say, Jack, I hear you're going to visit Fred Allen on his program Wednesday night. Is that right?
Yes, I am, Mary. I've got a business deal on with him.
What's it about, Jack?
Oh, you find out.
Is it animal, vegetable, or mineral?
I ain't talking. La, 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 la.
This mystery will be continued next Wednesday.
Good night, folks.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, you didn't expect to meet... Hello again. This is Jack Benny talking. Will you get away from here? Is this Wednesday night or not? Well...
Presenting
that zealous czar of Zazuzaz, Zither-EB, xylophones, uppers, itilatings, and ambulance satires, Anak Zany of the cinema, Fred Allen in person.
Hello again. This is Jack Benny talking.
Go away, boy.
Oh, all right. See, right away.
Get away from this microphone here. Good evening. We must get a weather strip put on the hall. And now, much as it pains me, and will you, may I present...
Hello again. This is Jack Benny talking.
Will you go away?
Oh, foof.
May I present, ladies and gentlemen? I don't mind riffraff coming in the audience, but when it comes to the microphone of all... And now, ladies and gentlemen, you didn't expect to meet...
Hello again. This is Jack Benny talking.
Will you get away from here?
Is this Wednesday night or not?
Well...
But this is the biggest thing you've had on the program this year.
Hello again for the fourth time.
Now, look, Portland, a thing on the program we don't need. Stuff I don't mind, but not a thing.
But, Mr. Allen, it isn't a thing. This is an old friend of yours from the days of vaudeville.
If it's Otto the trained seal, throw him a fish and tell him I'm busy.
Now, wait a minute, Fred. If you'll just take your nose, that one you used to talk through, out of that microphone, you'll see that it's me.
Oh, Jack. Jack Benny. Well, wait a minute. There's a reception goes in there.
Well, it doesn't have... I was worried there for a minute.
Well, you've been on 4 times. If you took a little bit each time, it's better you get it all at once like this. Let it pile up. Well, I'm terribly sorry, Jack. I didn't notice you. How long have you been standing there?
Since 8 o'clock this morning. They've been using me instead of the bull of a watch time.
Say, Jack, did Mary come along with you?
No, Porty. She wanted to come over, but she's busy with her Christmas shopping.
Christmas shopping?
Yeah, right now she's over at Bullett's, Wilshire, putting me through bankruptcy.
That gives me an idea. Tally ho, Jack.
So long, Porty.
Well, Jack, this is quite a surprise, you dropping in. I didn't know you were going to be here tonight.
I didn't know it either, Fred, until I heard you announce it 5 times last week. But don't get me wrong, Freddie. I appreciate that build-up. I'm one guy who knows that it pays to advertise.
Now, listen here, Benny. If that's a hint, you're not getting 1 cent for crawling in here tonight, and you know it.
Why, Fred, I didn't expect to get paid for this. I haven't any more right to take money for working on this program than you have. You for a while there.
Now, those armchair jokes, they'll hold you for a while. Now, hold on there. Hold on there, Benny. That's an insult.
Well, if I was Professor Quiz, I'd say correct. Absolutely correct.
And if I was Major Bowes, you'd have left with a unit 10 minutes ago.
Hey, that's nice work if you can get it. You know, Freddie, I wouldn't mind being back in vaudeville again, though, would you?
Ah, those were the good old days.
Yes, sir. Say, Fred, no kidding, will you ever forget the time you and I were together at the Orpheum Theater in Sioux City, Iowa?
Yep. Only I was on the stage.
I don't care, Freddie. I made more money selling peanuts in one day than you did all week.
Well, Jack, I didn't make much money in those days, but I was a pretty good juggler. Remember how I used to toss those Indian clubs in the air and do a funny monologue at the same time?
I sure do. And, Fred, you remember when you dropped those clubs? How you'd let them lay there right alongside of your joke?
Yep. Well, you ought to know. You swept up the theater every night.
I did not. I used to stay in the theater late just to practice my violin.
Well, you should have stuck to your broom.
I should have stuck to my own program, too. I had to ask for this yet, huh?
Well, you had to write it yet to insult yourself.
Well, Fred, anyway, a lot of water has gone over the darn since then, huh?
Over the Don?
Yes, Fred, you know how careful we have to be. But just think, Freddie, just think, here we are, both in Hollywood and both of us in pictures.
It does seem unreasonable, doesn't it?
Of course, Fred, maybe I shouldn't point this out, but I do make a lot more pictures than you do.
Well, Jack, there's so little of you in each one, you have to make more.
Oh, is that why they do it?
I'm glad you brought that up. How do you like pictures, Fred?
Fine, Jack. I just finished one called Sally, Irene, and Mary. I'm leaving for New York next week.
Oh, they're releasing you instead of the picture.
Now, Benny, if you're here to drip venom, heed your promiscuous spattering, and remember that retribution is the trailer that follows oral pollution.
Alan, you're just lucky I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, I had a hunch you were going back east, Fred, and that's why I came up here to see you. Have you decided which way you're going back? I mean, which form of transportation?
Well, I was going to take the boat and go through Panama, but I've got a hat, so I decided to take the train.
Well, Fred, of course, I don't want to influence you one way or the other, but have you ever thought of driving back east? You know, by automobile?
What kind of an automobile?
Now, don't rush me. And it's in good condition, too. Would you like to drive back home, Freddie?
No, Jack. I'll stick to the chief.
Well, if you'd rather hang around with Indians.
But the chief is a train, as you will find out when you finish your next picture, Mr. Benny. Say, what are you trying to get at, anyway?
Well, Fred, I own a Maxwell. And I thought that...
You don't think you can palm that tin nightmare off on me, I hope? Why, I wouldn't be found dead in that car.
Say, you're no better than the engine.
Why, the engine in that steam cabinet is so dead, the front wheels are nothing but rubber pallbearers. Where is that uncovered wagon?
It's right outside the door. Hey, boys.
Yeah, hey, Manny.
Will you drive my Maxwell in, please?
Sure.
Now, be careful, fellas. It's a high-powered car there, you know. Right in here, boys. Right in here.
Well, want us to leave it right here, Mr. Benny?
Yes, thanks, fellas.
Hey, what's that noise?
Noise? I'll cut off the motor so we can hear it.
That's better.
Yes.
Hey, Mr. Benny, I guess this belongs to you.
Oh, the door. Yes, thanks.
I went to close it, and it came off in my hand.
Well, you can stick it back on with a little new skin, Jack. Say, what's that bottle of scotch doing tied on the front?
That's for the radiator on New Year's Eve.
It looks like the car's got a hangover already. Benny, you may not be a snake in the grass, but you're sure hanging around with a rattler there.
That's libel, Alan. And if I had my writers here, what we'd call you be a 4-bell raz.
Say, what's up? Say, who started that? Say, what was that? Did the engine drop out?
No, Smarty, it's the new sunken motor. And listen to this horn. That note is by Stokowski.
Well, how is the car on gas?
Well, I get about 4 miles to the quart. If I insist, of course.
If you put your foot down.
Yes.
Well, how much does that make to the gallon?
Well, I never put in a gallon. I don't believe in spoiling a car. You know how it is with gas tanks. Easy come, easy go. Well, Alan, what do you say?
Well, now that I've had a good look at this bear trap, Jack, I know why the Maxwell people went into the coffee business.
Now, Freddie, I'm not begging you to take this car, only I thought, well, you walk all the time. You're not getting any younger. I think you ought to take your varicose veins out for a spin once in a while.
What are you asking for this Rhapsody in junk?
I'm asking $95 FOB.
FOB for Old Benny.
How about it, Fred?
Say, if you don't know, laughing at your next Sunday show already. Can't wait. If you don't know,
I'd give $1,000 if I could think of an answer right now.
If you don't know by now that I don't want that car, you ought to have your skull thinned.
All right, Fred, as long as you don't want to buy it, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll wrap it in cellophane, tie a big red ribbon around it, and give it to you for Christmas. How's that?
If I wake up Christmas morning and find that monstrosity in my stocking, I'll go barefooted the rest of my life.
There would be nothing new for you, you hillbilly. So you don't even want it for a present, huh?
I don't want it present, past, the future. You can take that animated skillet.
All right, Fred, all right. I merely wanted to be a good fellow, that's all. If you don't want the car, and I think you don't, I'll be on my way. No hard feelings, I hope.
No, Jack, I haven't anything against you, not Benny the man. No. I'm just not in the market, that's all. I hope I didn't offend you.
Oh, no, Freddie, I'll just have to sell it to some other guy. Christmas, old boy.
Same to you, Jack, and good luck.
Thanks, Freddie. Goodbye.
Hey, what was that, Jack?
That's what my car thinks of you, Alan. Go on, everybody.
While Jack Benny, Fred Allen, Eddie Cantor, Charlie McCarthy, Rudy, Vallee, Fibber McGee, and their peers dominated the evening hours on the radio, there was a whole world of radio shows during the daytime aimed at housewives and school kids. While the kids were at school, talk shows, news programs, and soap operas ruled the airwaves. The hours 2:30 to 6 were for the kids returning from school. A chance for them to hear an exciting adventure story and get convinced to buy Wheaties or Ovaltine or puffed rice. 1937 was the first year that I was able to find daytime ratings for national radio. The top 20 includes classic soap operas The Guiding Light and Backstage Wife, and shows that are what we think of when we think of classic old-time radio. Little Orphan Annie, Jack Armstrong, the All-American Boy, Dick Tracy, Tom Mix all appear in the top daytime 20. A smorgasbord of heart-stopping escapist action and intrigue. 1937 was the year the Mutual Network went national. No longer did NBC and CBS control the coast-to-coast airwaves.
Eddie Cantor, I've known all along what a cad you were.
Yes.
I hated you at NBC. I hated you at CBS. And now...
Now it's Mutual.
Mutual began as a loose affiliation of several independent big city radio stations. The idea was to share the costs of producing shows, and each station would have exclusive broadcast rights to those shows in their local cities. The show that really put them on the map was The Lone Ranger, soon to follow with The Green Hornet and The Shadow. Mutual's presence grew to cover a large part of the country, but remained a regional network with member stations held together only by the shared interest of not being put out of business by NBC and CBS, who were active in every part of the country. In 1936, Mutual finally became national by adding the Don Lee West Coast Radio Network to Mutual. Don Lee had been ditched by CBS, who bought their own stations in Los Angeles and San Francisco before showing Don Lee the door. He was more than happy to stick it to CBS, and the Don Lee Network became a Mutual Broadcasting System on January 1, 1937.
Of all the beautiful ladies I've met with, there's only one that will ever be missed. She's the gal that I never could pet with. She's the lady who couldn't be kissed. I never thought that I'd ever be strong for a gal who made up her mind to resist. But it's funny, the one that I long for is the lady who couldn't be kissed. But when she first said no, well, there was a doubt. But I soon found out when the gal said no, she knew what she was talking about. I may as well let her memory slumber, and so I'm crossing her name on my list. But I'm saving the telephone number of the lady who couldn't be kissed. Of all the beautiful ladies I've met with, there's only one that will ever be missed. She's the gal that I never could pet with. Oh, the lady who couldn't be kissed. I never thought that I'd ever be strong for a gal who made up her mind to resist. But it's funny, the one that I long for is the lady who couldn't be kissed. Why, when she first said no, then there was a doubt. Oh, what a doubt. But I soon found out when the gal said no, she knew what she was talking about. I may as well let her memory slumber, so I'm crossing her name off my list. But I'm saving the telephone number. Of the lady who couldn't be kissed.
1937 saw its share of upheaval in society. The legalization and active federal encouragement of organized labor had turned the capitalist-labor relationship on its head. The resulting increase of wages and security for workers would lift generations out of poverty. The Hindenburg caught fire, and the future of passenger blimps went up in flames. Charlie McCarthy was number one on radio. Fibber McGee and Molly emerged as a listener favorite. Jack Benny and Fred Allen pretended not to like each other. Mae West was sacrificed to the fake outrage of religious prudes. The Mutual Broadcasting System, the new scrappy nationwide network, would give NBC and CBS a run for their money, compensating for lack of organization and cash with an eye for talent, great remote teams and quality, and excellent writing. Radio gave the fantastic new jazz and swing bands a richly deserved national audience. Case in point, the Duke Ellington Orchestra, live at the Cotton Club in Harlem, New York, March 18, 1937.
Duke is on the air. Broadcasting this evening from the Cotton Club, Broadway and 34th Street in New York City, where Duke Ellington and his orchestra are playing for the dancers. The Cotton Club is open every night for dinner and dancing and after-theater supper. And besides the music of Duke Ellington and his orchestra, a floor show featuring 100 sepia stars is presented 3 times nightly. The vocalist this evening will be Ivy Anderson. Appropriately enough, the program opens with Harlem Beat. Duke Ellington and the orchestra continue the program with a number captioned Caravan. Here's a number that's possibly a bit more familiar to the radio listener. It's titled 1-2 Button Your Shoe.
step you take while I'm waiting for you. 5, 6, my heart does fix as a picture all your charms. 7, 8, you're at the gate and you walk into my arms. Oh, 9, 10, kiss me again. Tell me you get a thrill, just as I hope you will while I'm waiting for you. 1, 2, button your shoe, put on your hat and coat. I play a game like that while I'm waiting for you. Oh, 3, 4, open the door. Hurry, for heaven's sake. I count each step you take while I'm waiting for you. 5, 6, my heart does see that picture on your time. 7, 8, you're at the gate and you walk into my arms. Oh, 9, 10, kiss me again. Tell me you get a thrill, just as I hope you will while I'm waiting for you.
Making Merry to Dance Music by Duke Ellington and his orchestra, coming to you from the Cotton Club, Broadway and 48th Street in the heart of New York City. And now is his arrangement of Pennies from Heaven.
Don't you know it's clouds and pennies from heaven? You'll find your fortune falling all over town. Be sure that your umbrella is upside down. Trade them for a package of sunshine and flowers. If you want the thing you love, you must have showers. And when you hear it thunder, don't run under a tree, 'cause there'll be pennies, pennies, pennies for you and me.
And now on with the program as you listen to Mexicali Rose.
Mexicali Rose, stop crying. I'll come back to you some sunny day. Mexicali Rose, I'll be pining every year under I'm away. Dry those big brown eyes and smile, dear. Banish all those tears and please don't sigh. Kiss me once again and hold me. Mexicali Rose, goodbye.
Number the Duke helps to make famous. It's titled Sophisticated Lady. up the tempo now. We're rocking in rhythm. Ellington and his orchestra have been entertaining you from the famous Cotton Club located at Broadway and 48th Street in New York City. The Cotton Club is open every night for dinner and dancing and after-theater supper. Duke Ellington and his orchestra play here nightly, and the floor show features 100 sepia stars. Tonight's vocalist was Ivy Anderson. Your announcer is Roger Lyons. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
From March 18, 1937, the Duke Ellington Orchestra, live at the Cotton Club. You've been listening to When Radio Ruled, podcast number 29, the year 1937, part 2, Popular Culture and Social Trends. All songs and radio excerpts were recorded in 1937. Guest starring, all the way from 1937, were Janet Gaynor, George Burns and Gracie Allen, President Franklin Roosevelt, Fibber McGee and Molly, Eddie Cantor, Jimmy Wallington, Cecile B. DeMille, Fay Gillis, Rudy Vallee, Sully and Block, Benny Goodman, Irving Berlin, Helen Wills Moody, Ronald Coleman, Douglas Fairbanks, Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy, the cast of Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Glenda Farrell, Betty Davis, Don Amici, Mae West, Fred Allen, Jack Benny, Don Wilson, Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Kenny Baker, Portland Hoffer, Duke Ellington. Featured songs from 1937 included
It's my ambition to audition for a swell radio call, just to tell you I love you from coast to coast.
I Love You from Coast to Coast, Gracie Allen, December 23, 1937.
Here's the chance to
Swing, Benny, swing.
Swing, Benny, Swing, Sully and Block Live, August 10, 1937.
Why should we call up the woodmen?
I'll just tune in Benny Goodman.
One of the strikers are right, one of the strikers are wrong. You refuse to marry me, and so I'm joining the throng. I'm on a sit-down strike of my own.
I'm on a sit-down strike, Eddie Cantor Live, March 28, 1937.
But you don't give me a chance, so here I'll sit till I wear out the seat of my pants.
Let's go slumming. Take me slumming. Let's go slumming on Park Avenue.
Let's Go Slumming, Eddie Cantor Live, October 13, 1937.
When a member of the classes passes.
I haven't got a headache, darling, and my vision's okay too. Just look in my eyes, and then you can see that the trouble with me is you.
The Trouble with Me Is You, Eddie Cantor Live, January 1, 1937.
There's only one thing that's the matter with me. All the trouble with me is you.
Down with love, the blouse and rising shoes. Down with love, the root of all midnight blues. Oh, down with things that give you that well-known pain. Take that moon and wrap it in cellophane.
Down with Love, Rudy Vallee, live, December 23, 1937.
Down with songs that moan about night and day. Down with love, yes, take it away, away. Oh.
When we want to love, we love. When we want to kiss, we kiss. With a little patting, we're getting some fun out of life. When we want to work, we work.
Getting Some Fun Out of Life, Eddie Cantor, live, November 10, 1937.
Some fun out of life.
Of all the beautiful ladies I've met with, there's only one that will ever be missed. She's the gal that I never could pet with. She's the lady who couldn't be kissed.
The Lady Who Couldn't Be Kissed, Pinky Tomlin, live, November 24, 1937.
But it's funny, the one that I long for is the lady who couldn't be kissed. Now when she first said no, well, there was
I'm your host, Mike Gillette. Special thanks to British Pathway Newsreels, Jim Ramsberg, SPEDVAC, the Society to Preserve and Encourage Radio Drama, Variety, and Comedy, Archive.org, otr.net, grimripper2u@yahoo.com, the Goodies Guy YouTube channel, all the great artists from the golden age of radio. When Radio Ruled is a before TV production. Copyright 2021.
But it's funny, the one that I long for is the lady who couldn't be kissed.
The time, New Year's Eve. The scene, a hospital in the nation's capital.
Hello? Hello, Dr. Cantor speaking. This is the National Recovery Hospital, yes? Yes, I'll take care of it immediately.
But, Dr. Cantor, I thought we were going to celebrate the New Year tonight.
I can't leave, James. We have an emergency case tonight, and I'm waiting for the chief surgeon.
Gee, it must be a pretty important patient. Who's sick?
It's Uncle Sam's wife, Mrs. America.
No.
See that man walking up and down with the red striped trousers, the long white chin whiskers, and the tall hat with stars?
Why, it's Uncle Sam.
And is he nervous, like any father? I can appreciate it.
Say, I don't get this. Uncle Sam is expecting a newcomer. It can't be a boy or a girl. Could it be a new state?
No. They're expecting a new year.
Oh, I get it. The birth of 1938. Look, Uncle Sam wants to talk to you.
How are you, Uncle?
I'm worried, Doctor. I'm afraid my wife hasn't the strength to pull through. Don't forget, we've had some pretty sickly children, 1930, 31, and 32.
Yes, but listen, in a family as big as yours, this is going to be your 161st. There are bound to be a few weak sisters, but I'm sure 1938 will be a real chip off the old block.
Well, I wish I could share your optimism.
Why not, Uncle Sam? I know you and your wife have been through a lot, but don't worry. Every time Mrs. America has been in trouble, some great doctor has come along to save the day. Remember in 1776 when Mrs. America was still young? That was her first child, you know. We never thought she would survive. A young physician, Dr. George Washington, took charge. It was his first case, too. He turned out to be a doctor of genius.
I remember. He was a great doctor.
And remember, too, in 1861, when Mrs. America was probably in the most critical condition of her life, all the professors gave her up when a thin, lanky doctor came out of a small log cabin in the West. Everyone said it was a case of saving the mother or the child, but he did more. He saved them both. Dr. Abe Lincoln?
I'll never forget him.
Oh, Dr. Cantor, you must do something at once. The patient is in a very serious condition.
Don't worry, the chief surgeon is here. That's him entering the patient's room now. He got here just in time.
It's getting nearer and nearer 12 o'clock. Oh, I hope we're not going to have a bad year. She never would be able to live through it.
Uncle, I've never seen you like this before. Buck up. It's getting near midnight.
How quiet everything is. Oh, I'm so worried.
Oh, she'll pull through. I know it. It'll be all right. I just know it will. Listen. Hooray! 1938 is here. I knew it. Oh, I told you, Uncle.
Oh, I'm so relieved.
Uncle Sam, it's a lovely child.
Tell me, how is the mother?
The mother is fine, and the baby is a bouncing Happy New Year if ever there was one.
Oh, Dr. Cantor, I'm proud of my lovely child.
Uncle Sam, let's celebrate. We'll give a party and invite 125 million people to the christening of our Happy New Year. The greatest party we ever had. Not just Republican or Democrat, but an all-American party.
I'm really happy. Now my wife and I have nothing more to worry about.
That's right. Mr. and Mrs. America, 1938 is your baby to look after, nurse it, build it up, help make it the most wonderful year you ever had. And to everyone listening, I say, this would truly be a happy new year if the heads of nations would think about hands across the sea instead of arms.